Good evening, Crimson Tide Nation, and welcome to the 25th edition of the Alabama College Show, where Jeffrey and I take your calls on the Alabama Crimson Tide, all right here on Alabama The Voice College Football and on the Voice College Football @Twitter account. And ironically, the 25th edition is same night as where we score 25 3-pointers against the BYU Cougars tonight.
Is that coincidence or is it fate, man?
It's a possibility. I mean, I think it's fate. But I can tell you this, it's going to be a wild ride. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Doing great, man. I will say, though, I don't think either of us are going to be doing as good as Alabama's performance tonight, though. I mean, that's tough to beat, like literally. 25-3, setting a program record for threes and the NCAA tournament record for threes in a game. Like, unreal. Like, 25 threes is unreplicable that you would think. Like, could they do that again, in the tournament? I don't know. But 75 points came from three. Out of their 110 points, 75 of them came from the three-point line. I mean, that is unreal. Like, you can't not beat that. That is insane. Mark Sears was on a heater. 34 points, 10 of 16 from three. After being like 5 of 36 or something like 6 of 36, something like that from three in the last 5 games. Just an incredible turnaround from him. Phylon was great. Hollowell was great. Grant Nelson was great. I mean, it was just a team effort all around, but definitely Sears led that thing with all those threes. All I know is after that performance, a lot of people are going to be picking Alabama to win it all. I would not go there. I've picked Alabama to win it all in my bracket, but it is a little bit of a biased pick. But if we're on the fence about Alabama being a title contender, and now this game makes you think that they are now, I would kind of still pump the brakes just a bit because Alabama still gave up 88 points. Like, they are susceptible still on defense. They do give up a lot of points, and they could have a poor shooting night in the future. If you remember Auburn, that year that they beat Kansas, Kentucky, and North Carolina in the NCAA tournament, it was one of Bruce Pearl's first great teams at Auburn. They were shooting lights out from three, game in and game out. Not as well as Alabama tonight, but they were shooting lights out from three. They had a bad shooting night in the Final Four, and they lost. So definitely still pump the brakes just a bit on, Bama being a team that's going to win it all for sure. Because, I mean, no one's for sure. Auburn, Florida, Houston, Duke, Bama, these teams are neck and neck here for this thing. All of them are fantastic teams. It's going to be interesting, but I will say Alabama's going to have a darn good shot to win it all if they keep shooting like this. That was a fantastic performance, better than I could have imagined. I thought Alabama BYU would be a close game, and Bama they shut the lid on them with all those threes. It was incredible.
Agreed. And we got plenty of callers coming in. But before we do that, we've got the Godfather of the SEC giving out the number one finger and giving out a hello. He is one of our famous YouTube members of Alabama at the Voice College Football. And before we get to Alabama Richie, who is first in line, we will tell you about the YouTube memberships of Alabama at the Voice College Football for $2.99 a month. You can become a Crimson Faithful member, where you will get a loyalty badge next to your name in the comments, live chat, custom emojis you use in the comments and the live chat, and member shoutouts, like the Godfather of the SEC, for example. For $4.99 a month, you get priority replies to comments and access to a monthly hangout from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, our buddy Jeffrey at Only Talk Sports, Coach Burtz from Monday's edition of Crimson Tide Live, and the primetime show host, Brady Quoto and Manny Wilson. For $9.99 a month, you can become a Bear Bryant legend. And all you got to do is connect on social media with each of us and give out content requests of any kind. And when you give out content requests of any kind, neither rain, nor sleet, nor snow, nor bad weather of any kind, nor pollen, nor ragweeds will put a stop to us from fulfilling your request at Alabama at the Voice College Football. The invite chat will be in momentarily, and all of you can become YouTube members at
You
Alabama
know
Sports.
Jackson means business if he's even saying over the pollen, because the pollen's rough. Like, it is bad.
You got that
I'm sure
right.
people all over the South are sneezing like every couple minutes. Like, it is
Oh,
crazy down here.
I was just like getting sick here and there from pollen and all that stuff, and the ragweeds, like they're bad over here where I live. But what is it that I'm doing? Staying in. What is it I'm doing? Making sure I take all the meds I need, because this way I'm good to go, and I'm ready for all of you, the people that make the show. And on Easter Sunday, 4/20/2025, the Easter Beagle and the Easter Bunny are teaming up to get top-notch copies of the disputed national champions, college football's historical 1990s reset, from Mark Rogers himself at The Voice College Football, where you will learn about what happened during the 90s, how the decade changed sport, why the championship results should be questioned, how to critically think through the scenarios, and appreciate the accomplishments of teams that were not recognized as champions. This book provides an in-depth analysis of the changes, controversies, and outcomes that define a decade of college football. It challenges readers to explore and critically evaluate the decisions that shaped that national championship landscape. Unlock the mysteries of college football's supposed to be a decade. Grab your copy now. And
Can't
you
believe
all,
Easter's coming around the corner, man. It's like 3 weeks away now. It's like, I mean, time flies, man. But like you said, perfect time to get Mark's book, Disputed National Champions. And I know I've used the joke before, but as long as you're not Charlie Brown, you're good to go. Like, you're gonna get something from the Easter Beagle or Easter Bunny.
oh yeah, they're both teaming up. That's the thing. So
I mean, even Linus got something this time.
oh yeah, and it's like, well, I'm not a liar.
Great Pumpkin didn't leave him nothing, but the Easter
No.
Beagle did.
Well, I mean, we know the Great Pumpkin is leaving us a couple callers, and we got the famous one and only himself, Alabama Richie, and after Alabama Richie will be Bert the Wolverine. How are you doing tonight, good buddy, Bama Richie?
I'm doing very well, my guys. How are y'all doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing
Doing good.
fantastic.
Yes, sir. How about that basketball game? I know y'all were talking about it, but I could not believe we put up 100 on BYU like that.
25 threes. I mean, I like even Nate Oates is like, this is not sustainable. Like it's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. But like if we can continue to shoot like that, we got a really good shot to win it all. But we have to do a little better on defense still, and hopefully we can keep being hot from the outside, because I mean that was an unbelievable performance. Like they just kept hitting everything. Like they didn't miss. They look like the Celtics. They literally look like the Boston Celtics, just knocking in threes. I mean, it's one thing for an NBA team like the Celtics to do that and be like, wow, this is impressive. But like these guys, they're the ultimate pros, right? Like they're the best players in the world. And then you got a college basketball team replicating that. And it's like, and it's not like they're playing Mercer. Like they're playing BYU. They're playing a team that's in the top 25, had a great year, that destroyed Kansas. Like this is not a slouch. This is a good team, a really good team. And you did that to them. It was just unreal. And I feel like for Mark Sears, especially, getting his confidence back. I'm not saying that he ever lost it. I don't really want to say that. He never lost confidence. But to get his shooting stroke back, that's big. Because he'd been struggling from outside. Everybody else was kind of picking up the slack. But that performance from Sears, that performance from Alabama, definitely one of the best looking teams or performances from a team that we have seen in March Madness so far, if not the best overall. I mean, defense-wise, maybe not, but especially on offense, absolutely.
Yes, sir. I was going to go ahead and say that 34 from Sears tonight was incredible, and it definitely – see, that's the thing that a lot of people are going to look at is games like this, because Sears, Nelson, Amori, who else is a senior this year? Is Chris Youngblood a senior? So you got like 3 or 4 different seniors on the team that they need these kind of games, because if they want to further themselves, and we all know, I don't know if y'all knew, but Grant Nelson already tested the NBA. He worked out for the Pacers, and he knew he was just a Like last year, you couldn't have drafted Nelson comfortably, in my opinion, and said you were getting a guy that you were going to be able to have in the paint for you because he got in foul trouble quite frequently. But towards the end of the season, after our overtime win against Arkansas, he picked it back up. This game to me is going to be okay. Now you have the chance to go on to play Arizona or Duke, and we all know what Duke's made of with Cooper Flagg and company. I still think, and I've said this multiple times, I don't believe Duke's the same team without Cooper Flagg because losing him, yeah, they got by, but he was only out for like what, one game, and they knew that it wasn't going to matter whether they lost the ACC championship or not. They were still a huge shoe-in for the tournament. So it was nice to see everybody informed. Darion Reed was back. Aiden Sherrill contributed heavy when Amori was on the bench, and he's only a freshman, so it makes you wonder. My only other concern was what would we have been like if Wrightsell wouldn't have gotten hurt early on in the season? Because now that's an extra guy that now you have to try to see. And we lost Houston Millett as well to the really bad knees. And now that gives you the question of who's the next man to step up. But I'm not jumping out of my seat just yet because, like you said, Jeffrey, nail on the head. We have gave up 88 points, and against a Florida team who's beaten us twice, once the regular season, once in the tournament. With the team they have, and I could go on, but we'd be here all night with who they have and what they're capable of doing at Florida, Duke's team, and what John Schneier's doing, and then what Kelvin Sampson's doing with Houston. And then you still have really two solid teams in Auburn, and then out of nowhere Arkansas and Calipari, who is no flop of a coach in any stretch of the imagination. But again, I'm really happy for this Alabama team and what we've done. I was going to ask you all, did you see our girls' game against Maryland by chance?
Matter of fact, Coach Burtz and I were reacting to it while we were doing the show Monday night. Like that was funny that like you can look back on the live episode from Monday where like Coach was just like reacting. He was doing the show and reacting to Alabama Maryland. And it was like Miss Barker, was making some good free throws. I was like, good God. It was like, I'll be honest, that's been like one of the first times I've been watching women's basketball all season this year. It's like
I don't watch much women's basketball, but I mean, when it comes tournament time, like some of the games are really interesting. I mean, they can be pretty good, especially toward the end. I don't feel like in the early rounds, the women's tournaments is good. I feel like there's a lot more blowouts, but then when you get further, those top teams, like the top 15 or 20 teams, they're very competitive games. But I mean, more and more people are watching it now. Like it's on ESPN. Like last few years, it's been on ESPN. It's got a lot more coverage. So I mean, if there's nothing on, it's something to flip on. So, but I did not. I was busy that night, so I did not see the game. I did see the result though. But I mean, they've gotten a lot better too. Like Alabama's doing really well in a lot of sports, which like I think you've mentioned that. Like baseball is doing great. Women's basketball is better. Men's basketball is elite now. So I mean, like it's great to see. We just got to get our football back to the top, and then we'll be good.
That's all we got to do. And see, Bama's coming in with the Roll Tide Trojan Fights, giving out the what's up. And we got a new man, Brock Roll Tide Roll, saying he doesn't think we can beat Duke, but I don't know. I mean, it's like
we can beat Duke, but we're gonna have to play better on defense. That's just it's mandatory. Or have another game where we hit 20+ threes.
I mean, if we are lucky, we could play Arizona.
Caleb Love has beaten Duke before, so
beat him again.
It's possible, but I mean, in my bracket, I picked Duke. So
Arizona chokes in March. This is like their time to choke. So it's like I'd love to play Arizona.
Yeah, you always said like Purdue chokes, Arizona chokes, Tennessee chokes. But hey, I mean, technically Purdue and Tennessee have kind of taken off that label the last couple of years. I mean, they've gone further.
Tennessee has to get.
I mean, they kind of have, but they kind of have. I mean, they used to lose in the first round every year. That's the ultimate choke. When you're like a top 5 seed and every year you lose in the first round. Tennessee would do that. Arizona would do. I mean, Arizona that year they lost to Buffalo when Sean Miller was still the coach. It's like you can't do that. And Tennessee's done it with Rick Barnes. Like, you can't lose those type teams. Purdue lost to North Texas, Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, they kept losing, but now Purdue went to the title game, and this year they're in the Sweet 16. So they've kind of shaken that label to me.
Oh yeah. Like, yeah, because like it's gonna take like another year of like if Purdue is able to make the Final Four, for
gonna be
me
hard.
they've officially like shed that label. But they're losing a tight one to Houston. That okay, it's like I'm just gonna be like, you know what? They've shed that label. But Ben Ritchie, you mentioned last week that you went to go visit Alabama. How was it, man?
You talking about when I went to Tuscaloosa?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I'll share this with everybody before we got Wolverine up. Going to Tuscaloosa is something I do every single year. It's one of the things that I look forward to because I'm trying to get into Bama online and here so I can still work my job. But I can tell you that the atmosphere is incredible. The restaurants we went to. So we went to the Ways Cider, which is apparently where Bear Bryant ate breakfast every day, and we sat at the Bear table, and it was a great atmosphere. And if you're looking for more of like your mother made the breakfast kind of food, your family made the food on a Saturday morning with family over, they stayed the night or something. That's kind of the atmosphere I got. Reminded me of a diner here in Florida. We also went to Big Bad Breakfast, Leaving Out. It was very nice. They had good food. Got to go to softball, got to go to gymnastics, got to go to a lot of different places, and it was nice. Got to go to a lot of different stores, and I would have liked to go to our baseball stadium, the Joe, but because we were playing Presbyterian that weekend and the Saturday game was during the doubleheader of softball, basically a blowout, and it was sad. But I got to go to the Joe the year before against Lipscomb, and it was not as big of a turnout as I would have liked to see, but it's hard, and I get it. It's hard to sit through 9 innings of baseball and say that you could. I mean, the pros, I can see it because it's competitive, but when you're scheduling teams that they're taking what a couple $100,000 to play you just so they can build up their team with travel equipment and things like that. That's so that was cool. I also got to go to a place called Buffalo Phil's for wings. That's like a local spot there, and I got a shirt from there. I got a shirt from the Big Bad Breakfast. I got a shirt from. I'm trying to think of the name of it. We went there the day we got into town. It was called the Brick and a Spoon, and they
Mm-hmm.
had the best food probably the whole weekend in terms of breakfast. And then we went to classic Baumhauer's Victory Grill, Bob Baumhauer.
Yes.
And for those that don't know Bob Baumhauer, I think he played with Dan Marino when he was with the Miami Dolphins. So
Yeah.
that's what I know about him. And I'm surprised they don't have any restaurants in Florida yet because of his deal with the Dolphins, but we'll see at some point. They're talking Orlando way, but you never know. But the biggest thing I took away from that was just getting to see our school again and drive by Bryant Denny. And I was having thoughts of the spring game. We just got that new 2026 quarterback recruit to come to us, and I'm really liking what I hear about the kid. He's comfortable in the pocket. We have an option. But I do have a question. Some people were trying to say that Ty Simpson reminds them of Peyton Thorne. I think that was just a bunch of people chirping, but what do you guys think about that? And do you guys still believe that Keelan's the starter?
Well, I mean, I will say that the comparison to Peyton Thorne is terrible. If that is true and valid, I mean, Peyton Thorne's not great. At Michigan State, he had the good season because of two great receivers, Jaden Reed, Jalen Naylor, and then Kenneth Walker was unbelievable. So, and they had an easy schedule, kind of like they said with Indiana this year. They had an easy schedule. Michigan State had a very easy schedule that year, so that was kind of fluky. He goes to Auburn, he stayed at Michigan State another year after all those guys left, and he didn't do any good. And then he goes to Auburn and doesn't do any good. So, I mean, all we know about Ty Simpson is that, like we've said before, he's never been able to take the job. He couldn't take it from Milroe. And if Keelan Russell wins the job, then I mean he's not ever going to be the starting quarterback at Alabama unless there's injuries. Because I mean he has so much more experience in college than a true freshman that you would think he'd be able to win the job. But I mean, definitely not a good sign that he's getting comparisons to that. I think that, rumors are rumors. I mean, a lot of people have talked about Austin Mack improving as well. It's kind of a lot of smoke right now, but I do think Keelan's in great shape right now still, just from what the coaching staff has said.
Well, I feel like they're still going to switch over to Russell when it gets to midway through the season. But I think we're going to wait and see because I don't think this battle is quite finished. We're going to know a little more by the time we get to fall camp. We'll know who the starter is by then. I would say the week before we play Florida State or 3 days before then.
Absolutely. And I will say this and end it on this. Austin Mack coming out of nowhere is surprising because everybody's thinking it's Keelan Russell or Simpson, and Simpson's loyalty is part of the reason why he should start. But like I told everybody after the Michigan game, the ReliaQuest Bowl, just because you're loyal to a program doesn't mean that you were the answer. Now, to say Milroe was the worst quarterback, and I've said this multiple times, but with it coming up to A-Day, it makes you wonder who's going to have the biggest splash. I don't think that Milroe was as bad as everybody says they were. And I could name a couple guys that were just worse than him that transferred out, but we'd be here all night. The point being is when you sit back and you look at, who we've had in the system, this is definitely DeBoer's year because he's getting the guys that he wants. So I don't want anybody to think that, Simpson can't win the job, but again, like Jeffrey said, if it comes down to the point where you're not able to beat out a true freshman, then it gives you some concern because I think the guy can play, but I'm definitely having some questions myself. And then Austin Mack, he's got the size, but it's like I'll give this comparison real quick. Everybody knows who Graham Mertz is. Graham Mertz was at Florida before they realized that DJ Lagway was their only hope in keeping Napier's job. I think that's the same deal with Hugh Freeze. I think that they're gonna they're a quarterback away from being oh shoot, watch out for Auburn like they were with Newton and a little bit with Nick Marshall. But again, when you come from a school that, like you all were saying, like that division hardly implemented a ton of defense, but they did it to a degree. They weren't as bad as the Pac-12. Then you'll see just what you get. So it's going to be interesting to see who absolutely starts for us and who it is. And, but that's what it took me back to growing by Denny is who's our quarterback going to be? What does this team prove? Do we have what it takes to have a better record than 9-3? And does DeBoer make a statement for us? And I think he can, and I'm happy for him. So we'll see what happens. So,
All right, man. Thank you for calling in, and we'll be seeing you real soon. And check out Alabama Richie on X/Twitter, and give him a follow on TikTok before it eventually goes away on Alabama Richie 3.
And one quick thing for you guys is I don't know if you knew Jeffrey, but Jackson joins us every now and again. But my group is Wager Wire, and I have shared you guys with them, and my partner that we do the SEC show with is a big Bama guy, so he supports what you guys do. And if you ever need any help, feel free to send me a DM, and I hope you guys get out content, videos, anything you're trying to support, whatever. And if y'all ever come out with the Voice of College Football shirts or hats, I'll help support that as well because I'm a big shirt collector. So we'll see. But You guys have a good night, and roll tide, roll to both of you.
Roll Tide, roll,
Roll Tide.
Richie.
Catch you guys.
And before, oh man, we got our guy Oregon from at the Voice College Football.
We got our
Show.
guy Oregon.
Or Ben himself say, "Don't make me call in." I'd be like, "Do it, come on in, call in, Ben, come on in. The more the merrier." And our new Alabama member for Alabama the Voice College Football, Moose, a tremendous contributor to the Voice College Football. Nice win, Jackson. Bama might win it all. I thank you, man. I hope. And honestly, I want to see Michigan beat the living hell out of Auburn. But on the other hand, I want to see Alabama play for that. It's like I'm confused. Make it stop. Make it stop. Maybe Burt's can help us make it easier for us. How are you doing tonight, good buddy?
What's up, man? This is like my first time calling in, but I think I saw you at Voice of College Football Michigan channel. You were in the chat, so I kind of want to talk about that Alabama game. But that was a hell of a game, man. Like that was crazy. Like I'm stunned of what I just saw. You know,
I still can't believe it either. We knew that Alabama with their offense was capable of putting up 100, but the way they did it is hitting 25 threes, setting the record by 4. Loyola Marymount had 21 back in 1990 in a tournament game, and Alabama it's 25. I mean, they scored 75 points from 3. I mean,
that was when that was the year Hank Gathers died, and Loyola Marymount went on that Cinderella run to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm curious. Did Auburn and Alabama? Did they who won between those two in basketball? Did Auburn beat Alabama this year, or
yes?
Okay.
Auburn beat Alabama the first matchup. Alabama won the second matchup.
Okay.
But they could play each other for a national title in college basketball. That's why I'm just like, I want Michigan to win, but then on the other hand, it's like, oh, I want Alabama to have a chance to beat Auburn.
Michigan's going to have to play a great game to beat Auburn.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually glad. See, a lot of our fan base was complaining about the 5th seed, why Michigan got a 5th. But I don't care if we have a good, we had good matchups. Like we had UC San Diego, Texas A&M, which, by the way, A&M killed Auburn in March, So I kind of like my chances. Listen, if we were versing Duke or Florida, I think we would get cooked, right away. So Auburn, I'm actually glad we're versing a team like Auburn, and I really hope we do beat them, man. It's because what Dusty May is doing, it's crazy, man. Like taking a team that only won 8 games last year and, possibly going to Final Four. And plus, I want to verse MSU and kill them. Honestly, I want Ole Miss to beat MSU. Screw MSU. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, all I'll say about Dusty May is that for Michigan fans in Michigan, I'll say that they're happy that Indiana fumbled the bag for the 80th time. Because they could have easily hired him, and it's like, no, we're gonna give Mike Woody another year. It's like dumbest decision ever. Because Dusty May, we knew the guy was a winner.
Hoosiers, stop fumbling the bag in basketball.
They fumble the bag every time. It's like I can't even defend you at this point. I can't. I just can't. You fumble the bag. I think DeVries is good, but man, Dusty May, that would have been great for Indiana. But he's doing one heck of a job at Michigan. One heck of a job. Because, I mean, even though in this portal era it is easier to turn teams around quicker, it's still hard to do what he did. I mean, his best players from Yale. It shouldn't work, but it is. And it's very impressive. They know how to win close games. They're very competitive on both sides of the ball. And I do agree with your take on that about, Auburn is better for them than Duke.
Yeah,
or Florida. I agree with that. I mean, Auburn plays a different brand of ball. It's more physical. They're kind of like Houston, but better offensively. But they can go cold. I mean, we've seen games where they can go cold on from the floor. So it's going to be interesting. Michigan will have a chance, but
agreed. You know what's funny though? We could see a Michigan State rematch in the Elite Eight. We could see an Auburn Ole Miss rematch. I think they play each other in college basketball, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
I thought so. That would be sweet if we saw either one of those matchups, but like a Auburn Michigan State matchup or a Michigan Ole Miss matchup, that's pretty cool too. I mean, like especially for our friends at Michigan at the Voice College Football and Ole Miss at the Voice College Football. Like they'll be having like watch parties, popcorn, all that, right, ready and raring to go if Michigan or Ole Miss are playing each other.
I have to ask though, since both of you, Jackson and Burks, I have to ask if, in the case of you, Jackson, if Alabama, if our team doesn't win it, who do you want to win it all? And if Michigan doesn't win it all, Burks, who would you want to win it all?
Good question.
Well, definitely not Duke, man, because I don't know why there's so many Michigan fans who are literally like they're football fans, but then they're Duke basketball fans. It makes no sense on some of this YouTube chat. They need to understand Michigan and Duke literally had a rivalry in basketball back in the 90s. So it's like, but I'm probably gonna like root for an SEC team. Honestly, I feel it's time for an SEC team to win the Natty. I think I'd probably go with like maybe like Ole Miss. I'd say root for you guys if if Michigan loses, but because I do kind of want like a team that never won a Natty, like for basketball to win. So maybe something like Ole Miss or Alabama. I think SEC would, it would be cool for one of those teams to win in basketball. That's not Florida because they already won. So yeah.
For me, anybody but Duke, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee. Who else? Nope, that's it. Anybody but Auburn.
I don't want Duke. I don't want Duke.
No one
I'm a Carolina fan, so I don't want Duke. I don't want obviously Purdue. But they're not going to win it. But I don't want Purdue because Indiana. And I don't want Houston because of Indiana. Kelvin Sampson, I don't want Houston to win it all. I'm sorry. I no. So I don't want Houston. I don't want Purdue. I don't want Auburn. And I don't want Duke. Those are my top four that I don't want. I don't want those four.
I mean, I would like to see Ole Miss get to a Final Four. Like, matter of fact, this is their second time in school history that they are in the Sweet 16. First time was 01. So, I mean, Chris Beard's doing some magic. Like, honestly, I wonder if there's going to be, like, Big East schools or, like, really some top-notch basketball schools in general just, like, saying, hey, we got to get a hold of this guy.
Now, I have a quick question. Does Alabama for football have a spring game this year, or did they also cancel theirs?
We have a spring game. It's just not
modified, but
it's not on TV.
Yeah, it's not on TV,
yeah,
and I think it's modified as well.
Oh,
like
really?
It's not a full. Is that right, Jackson? Like it's not going to be.
It's modified.
Oh, okay, it's modified. Yeah. All right, yeah. No, we have a spring game. I'm actually going to go to the game, spring game, and I'll take the train and go. And I live like 3 hours and 30 minutes. I live in Chicago, so live 3 hours and 30 minutes. I usually go to the games by taking train because parking is hell. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited, and it's not gonna be on TV actually this time, which sucks. And that's my issue is like they're canceling. I don't want them to all cancel spring games. And I feel like they're going through that. I don't want programs like Alabama, Michigan, and because it's like tradition and stuff, and it really pisses me off. So
I think a lot of it is because, and other people have said this, they don't want to lose players to like the portal because if they don't get in the spring game, then they're not going to play. So you have to give that player like still, I have a shot to play, and a spring game kind of takes that away. Tradition, like that word tradition is so upsetting because I agree with you. Even though I'm young, I'm a traditionalist as well. I like tradition and the old ways of football, and all that's just blown out the window. So losing the spring game at this point is not even a big deal with all the other stuff that we've lost. We've lost the Pac-12. We've lost rivalries. We've lost tons of stuff.
We lost Penn State, Pittsburgh before we were even born.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I have another quick for your QB battle. I did hear you guys were talking to the guy from before, but I'm really curious. Like, you think Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell? You think those two guys will be like? Do you guys expect them to be much better than Jalen Milroe, or you don't know? Like I'm curious about this because Jalen Milroe was kind of a hot topic. Some Alabama fans really liked him. Some were like, eh. Some did not like him, So I'm curious. Do you guys think like you expect these two QBs to put up better numbers than Jalen Milroe their first year with people coming back like Ryan Williams and stuff, or do you feel like you don't expect that?
Well, I mean, it's a tough question because it depends on what Jalen Milroe, you're comparing to. If you're comparing this past season's Jalen Milroe, I think either could put up better stats than what he did this past season, especially in the passing game. He threw like 13 picks, 19 touchdowns. It was not that good. But the previous year, he was a lot better. He only threw like 6 picks, like 25 touchdowns. I mean, a lot of people forget Milroe actually had a really good year overall in Saban's final year. It's just he's remembered for the bad game against Texas, and he's remembered for the fumble against you guys in the playoff. Like, literally, that fumble changed the game. And I've seen so many people say, oh, Alabama was going to lose that game anyway. I don't agree. We'll never know. Michigan maybe could have won anyway, but, like, Bama was in pretty good shape, and then he fumbles, just loses the ball. And then completely turns the tide, and you guys got the win, and Michigan had a fantastic team that year. But, yeah, like, Milroe's legacy just went downhill from there because, like, if he doesn't do that and Bama wins it all that year, I feel like Milroe is thought of a lot more positively. And this past season with no more Saban, a lot of new offensive players, a new coach, a new system, Milroe sucked. He was awful. But I don't think it was all his fault. I think the new offensive scheme didn't suit him well. I think that they didn't know how to adjust to his play style because Kalen DeBoer's worked better with pocket passers versus a scrambler like Milroe didn't work out at all. And, his stats were bad this past season. So I expect Keelan Russell or Todd Simpson or, heck, even Austin Mack to put up better stats than Milroe did this past year, but not necessarily the year Milroe had 2 years ago.
Well, Trojan Fight says that Milroe's just Joe Milton in an Alabama uniform.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
Don't compare
Joe
him to Joe
Milton can't run. Joe Milton can't run at all.
Yeah, he's not athletic like Milroe. Yeah,
no, I like not even close. Milroe was a lot better than Joe Milton.
No, it's crazy because you guys would have, if you guys beat Michigan, you guys would have also killed Washington. That's not even a question. And this Alabama team, man, people don't understand how good this was. This was like a really tough matchup for Michigan. Like, people were like, oh, there's some Michigan fans who said like, oh, we crushed, like we like dominated Bama. No, not necessarily. It was really, really close.
Alabama lost on the final play of the game on 4th and goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nail biter. That game was fantastic.
It was a great game.
In the ReliaQuest Bowl, we got overly reliant on Ryan.
Alabama sucked in that game, man.
I don't know
we sucked.
I don't know what
terrible.
Yeah.
Neither team played good. I mean, Michigan just did what Bama did not do. Michigan didn't turn it over. Alabama turned it over 4 times. Like we were horrible.
Ugh.
And that's the thing. Ohio State fans keep saying, "Oh, we celebrate 8-5 season." No, we're celebrating because we beat Ohio State, which was shocking, and then we beat an Alabama team that Alabama should have won. Honestly, this was a game that they should have won.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the first-year head coach led Michigan to victory against Michigan State for the first time since 1948.
What really frustrated me about this past season's Michigan team is that I kept defending Michigan. It was kind of to aid my argument that Indiana should have been in the playoff, but I did mean it, though, because I'm like, all right, based on talent, I know talent ain't everything, but based on talent, Michigan was a top 25 team. Literally. See, Moose, nobody was beating Michigan in 2023. I mean, come on, man. Like, Alabama literally was a fumble and a 4th and goal. It was a nail biter. I think we can agree with that. But the thing is, though, this past year's Michigan team was a top 25 team based on talent. But at the beginning of the season, they were horrible. I mean, the Illinois game was awful. Like, the tons of early games, they were horrible. But by the Indiana game, they were still awful offensively. But they weren't turning it over now because they had Davis Warren in at quarterback, and he just didn't turn it over. He just didn't do anything hardly, but he didn't turn it over. And then Michigan's defense was elite. So they were still a problem. I mean, like, they were still a good team. Like, I argue that Michigan was a better team than Illinois, despite Illinois beating them and Illinois finishing ranked. Michigan was a very talented team, but they just didn't have a quarterback. That's all they didn't have, literally.
Yeah, and Harbaugh's to blame, honestly, for for not getting for just not recruiting a good QB during those last 2 cycles, and also Sharon Moore. They were too lazy. They said, "Oh, we have a good QB class, so we have our good QBs." They got cocky, and this is what happened. So,
Should have got a portal guy. I mean,
yeah,
even a guy like Cam Ward.
bro, I would have gotten Kyle McCord. People are like, "Oh, we're not taking Kyle McCord." Oh no, please, man, Kyle McCord would be great on Michigan. Like,
Yeah, if Michigan even had Kyle McCord, I agree. Like with the team that they had, probably would have made
playoff team. Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but it's crazy, and they were playing their best football at the end. Literally, like it just sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think they were a playoff team kind of in their last year, couple of games against Northwestern and Ohio State and Alabama. I'm not gonna lie on that.
Even against Indiana, I mean, I think that game proved that Indiana wasn't bad. Like that was a nail biter. Indiana held on. It was a really good game, and probably one of the best atmospheres Indiana's football stadium's ever had. It was a really, really good game, but like a lot of people just kind of overlooked as like, well, Indiana's not good. They're terrible. They didn't play anybody, and Michigan sucks. So it's like no wonder they beat them. Like I don't agree with that take. I think Michigan again was a very talented team that just didn't have a QB, and Indiana, while not super talented, I think Cignetti is a fantastic coach, and I think they found a way. That's just the way I look at it. People have different interpretations, though.
True, but yeah, something I've always said, like dating back to when the voice of college football had the Ocho and my Jacksonian episode with John D'Animo on November 2023, something I've always said is that Sharon Moore as head coach for Michigan, I mean, Michigan's in good hands with Sharon Moore. I think they're going to be fine with him, and I still say that. I mean, they're going to be fine. I'm not saying they're going to be going unbeaten every year. That's just not happening. But like competing for Big Ten titles, you're obviously beating Ohio State, and you're basically showing Michigan State, hey, we're the boss.
I think Sharon Moore, like the longer he's at Michigan, is just he unless keeps beating Ohio State and all that. I feel like he has the potential to be in people's minds like James Franklin. Where it's like, they got tons of talent, they win games, but they're probably not going to be a national title team. They're going to fall a game or two short. I could be wrong. I don't think Sharon Moore's a great coach. I don't think he's great at all. I don't think he's bad, but I don't think he's great. Unless he improves on the things that he did not do this past season. I understand it was year one, but he made mistakes. He made a lot of mistakes. He kept switching quarterbacks when clearly it should have been Davis Warren from the beginning. He didn't get a quarterback. I think there's going to be flaws. I don't think that the system's great that they have either. So I don't think he's a great coach. That's why I think that people get so misconstrued with coaches like, oh, this coach is elite. When you look at their team and they have a top 5 roster, but you're going 10-2 when you should be going 12-0. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why Ryan Day was getting a lot of crap because you've got the best roster in college football. And yet you're barely beating Nebraska. You lost to Michigan again. And now everybody's like fine with it because, they won it all. Right. But I feel like Sharon Moore is in a rough situation because Michigan's NIL situation is bonkers. They have so much money and they are spending it. So theoretically, they should be a top 5 team from now on. But I don't think they're going to do that. We'll see, though. I don't know. But I don't think he's great. But only time will tell.
Well, Bert's, what else have you got tonight? And what else have you got going on in your world this week, man?
Nothing, man. Just tomorrow's big game. Hopefully, I hope you guys are watching, rooting for Michigan to beat Auburn. To screw Auburn.
Honestly. That's not a problem, trust me.
Screw Auburn. And
Auburn shuts.
Yeah. And then I just want to say one more thing. It's just, what is your guys' expectations for this season for this Alabama team? Do you think you guys should make the semifinal? Our expectations is playoffs. or bust. Like it's going to be playoffs. You have to make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, and let's say you beat Ohio State, let's say we had a similar season like we did last year, it's a failure season. I don't care what it is, right? You're going to have to make the playoffs, but that's my expectations. But I want to know what your guys' expectations are. And then that's all I got for you guys. But
well, our expectations are. I mean, I'm not expecting to win the SEC. I just want us to win a couple playoff games, get to the semifinals or more. Like I would love that.
My thing is when I look at the playoff, the problem is that we've become playoff or bust because it was expanded. When it was a 14 playoff, you could miss the playoffs and still be like, all right, we had a great team this year. We had an elite team, but things just didn't break our way. We went 11-1. We didn't make our conference title game, and we finished 5th. You know what I'm saying? So it was like we still had a great year. Like no one's mad. It's just it sucks that things didn't break their your way. Now it's a 12-team playoff, so it's like you got no excuse at programs like Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Texas, whatever, to miss the playoff. If you miss the playoffs with a 12-team playoff, you got some problems. So I agree. It is at the very least it's playoff or bust for Bama. If they don't make the playoffs, then Kalen DeBoer's seat's on fire. But if they make the playoffs, anything added to that is gravy, as one would say. Like you're adding icing on the cake. No one's expecting Bama to win it all. No one's expecting them to win the SEC either. But you got to make the playoffs and win a game or two. That would be great if possible.
There we go. We just want to win a game.
All right,
well,
cool,
all right, Bert.
Yep, that's all I have, man. Good luck with Alabama. Hopefully they beat Duke and Michigan beat Auburn, and who knows, maybe we see a Michigan-Alabama championship.
That would be crazy. Cool. That would be crazy.
That'd be cool, man.
There we go. Roll Tide, go blue, and don't be a stranger, Bert. And thank you again for calling in tonight, good buddy.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, take care, man.
You too. And we have the well, we're gonna wait for our Nets caller because he's got some stuff going on, but he'll give us the bat signal when he calls back in.
Yeah, Bean's comment, Kalen DeBoer's buyout is $70 million. He is safe. The thing is that
tell that to Jimbo.
I know that, but what I'm saying is if Alabama misses the playoffs again, his seat is very hot. He's not going to get fired yet, but his seat is very, very high. And it is very hard to come back from losing a fan base. Once you lose a fan base, even if you don't get fired right away, you can't get it back. Like that's why, as I said, with the Burks, like Indiana fumbled the bag with the Dusty May situation because every single Indiana fan wanted Mike Woodson gone after what he said on senior night last season. You remember that, right? About the true fans. I don't know if you remember that statement, but he was like, the true fans, you're not going to, stop cheering for you, whatever. It's not about cheering for your team. You get sick of losing. You get sick of mediocrity, right? That's just the way that it is. When you have money and you've got an elite fan base, an elite program, you should not be losing. So Mike Woodson lost the fan base after that.
Yeah.
And nothing that he could have done would have ever got it back. Winning a lot, maybe if he had won it all. But other than that, it wasn't going to happen. He lost the fan base. Once you lose the fan base, you can't get it back. All I'm saying is with Kalen DeBoer is that if he loses the Alabama fan base, he loses it for good. So even if he doesn't get fired immediately, you can't get it back. That's my concern and worry for Kalen DeBoer. You cannot lose the fan base.
Yeah, and before we get to our next caller, we've got some comments from one of our Alabama members from Moose. To take a team from 8 wins to 27 in year one is crazy. Just imagine when Dusty actually gets his own recruits in. And he's got the #1 foam finger, the Alabama logos, everything. He's got the emojis. And, oh, man, And Chris Camp says, man, Florida going to be hard to beat for anybody. And at Florida, they done beat the crap out of us twice. Yep. But third time might be charm. At least I hope. We still got to get through the next opponent. Agreed. We're waiting it out for the winner of Duke, Arizona.
Yeah, and it's a great game so far. It's tied up right now at 38 apiece.
or at least it's trying to be. Come on, Caleb Love. Come on, Love. Bring out that love.
Yeah, the thing for me, man, like I got nothing against, I don't know how you feel about this, Jackson. I got nothing against the camera people, showing somebody in the crowd a couple times. But have you noticed, what are the two things they keep showing? Every time Cooper Flag does anything, they show his parents. Dad gets old. It gets old. It does. It's like, we don't need to see it. We know she's cheering in the crowd. It's great. Supporting her son. That's awesome, but it's annoying. And the other thing that's annoying is John Calipari at Arkansas. Every single time, every single game, they keep showing his wife and his daughter. And it's like, why? We get it. We know they're there. We know they're supporting, but it's annoying. It annoys me.
Yeah.
Like
nauseating.
I don't know why. I get maybe I get it's a little overblown. Maybe
True.
other people don't have a problem with it. I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem with it if they showed him a couple times. But it's the same thing with Taylor Swift. Like, I know people were saying, like, oh, people are getting so mad about Taylor Swift. And yet, throughout the entire game, she was only shown 20 seconds. It's not about the length. It's the fact that you keep clipping away to do it. Like, I know psychologically in my mind, Cooper Flag hits that 3. Oh, they're going to show his mom.
Yeah.
John Calipari's Arkansas squad goes on a 7-0 run. They're going to show his wife and his daughter's like losing it. She's covering her eyes and stuff. Like, why? I don't want to see that. I don't. It irritates me because I already know they're going to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, can't get to the point where I already know you're going to do it. Don't do that.
Yeah, the cameraman's making Jeffrey's blood pressure boil, but we got our next caller. He is the co-host of Oregon Live Wednesday nights, and he hosts Exploring with Ben and Sam. And I got to tell you, they got some funny stuff over on that channel. He is the one and only himself, Ben from Oregon at the Voice of College Football. How are you doing tonight, good buddy?
Hey,
that is the Big Ten champion Oregon Ducks, by the way. Everyone in this chat who is not a conference champion at anything this last year. Just letting you know that. And I don't want to talk basketball.
People only would have cared, Ben, if Oregon won a national title.
I don't want to talk about basketball because I had to suffer, as I do not watch college basketball because every time I watch, my team loses. I did not watch basketball this entire season until this last Sunday, and both the women's and men's lost.
Dana Altman wins. He just, they just don't win a lot of big games, but they win a lot of games and they make the tournament. And
they were both in those games against Duke and against Arizona. Easily could have won both of them, and then just both stalled out in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Arizona tried to give it to Oregon.
Oh yeah, they were
legit. I did watch that game and I was laughing because both teams were giving the game away. That neither team won it, and then Caleb Love just kept hitting clutch threes. That was it. That was the difference. No one was playing well except Caleb Love's clutch threes.
Yeah, they missed 10 free throws in the men's game. I mean, that was the game right there. They lost by 5. Jesus.
Man. I wish Oregon beat Arizona, but that was you know what? Anybody beat Duke. We're sick of Duke. We don't care who it is. Just beat Duke.
I see Bean's comment saying I'm not a family man. It's not that I'm not a family man. It's not that I'm not a family man. I just don't like seeing it over and over again. A few times is okay. You know what I'm saying? But you keep doing it and it gets old.
No, Bean hasn't realized maybe he's not watching, he's just listening. Neither of these individuals on panel with me right now are even able to consume alcoholic beverages legally.
Oh, I can. I just choose not to.
No, you're both like 19.
I'm 27.
Yeah, Jackson's 20 and I'm 18. Sure.
He turned 21 a couple months ago.
Yeah, me and Jackson, we just like to show up actually, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, not
you don't want to be drunk on air.
No.
Maybe that's my problem on the Oregon show and the After Dark show.
Well, I mean, it is hard to stay awake. So to be fair, I mean, we do this show pretty late too, and it is hard to stay
I've
awake
got
toward the
ice
end.
water, so it's like I've got
Yeah,
this.
I got some water next to me. Like I have to.
I do
have
too.
to have something.
I do too.
That was like
And I got a brand new bottle in the freezer. We're good to go.
Oh Lord.
Perfect.
No one caught me on the Oregon show last night doing refills when Spaz walked away. I was like, hold on. Leaning over doing refill? No one caught that? Cool. All right. Don't let Mark know.
Oh Lord.
Hey, I mean, I will say, Mark, he lets a lot slide. I will say, I mean, because After Dark has gotten crazy. I have not been on in a while. I haven't been able to stay awake on Sundays, but Sunday nights. But man, we've had some crazy moments on there.
Mark lets it slide because he knows I could give a shit what he says, and I've been around long enough. At least he's like, oh, fine, whatever. He's kind of given up. He kind of gave up, I think.
Yeah, as long as like you're not getting the channel banned, like it's all good. You know, like as long as that, or like no strikes, it's
demonetized and stuff like that.
Demonetized, yeah.
He's like, whatever.
Cool. Hey, I mean, it's actually surprising the amount that like can be, what's the word? Like, let it slide. Like the amount that you can, I guess you could say, get away with without getting in trouble. But you have to be careful. You have to know how to do it, you know.
The worst thing I get from Mark is sometimes some angry text, and the one I still refute is when he sent me a text like the day after one of our shows about the playoffs, and he was like, no Jesus jokes, and I was like, I didn't say anything. Well, what are you talking about? The night before, I think I made a comment. It was like literally something like, this is literally what I said. Notre Dame is always cheating. They always have a 12th man on the field. Touchdown, Jesus.
Okay.
That was what I said. That was what I said. That was literally what I said.
They say that
word
on like
for word.
the major networks. I mean, that is a good joke. It is funny, but
it's not like a Jesus joke, you know, or anything like that. I was like,
no, I mean, there's some YouTube
about?
channels. There are some YouTube channels that make really offensive jokes. Right, like I don't like using that word offensive. I don't ever use, but like you want to use that word. There are people that make really rough jokes about religion and other things, and they get away with it. Like,
that's like a traditional Notre Dame dig.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
That was fine. Like I don't see any issues with that.
Yeah, I don't know if someone took offense to it or someone heard something different. Because I'm like, that's literally what I said, and I was like, okay, I just
that's
ignored
like the PG of all PG jokes. Like that's not.
Yeah, I just ignored the text message, to be honest. Don't tell Mark that.
He's watching right now.
Probably. I'm gonna get an angry text right now.
Yeah, are we the last show on Jackson?
Are
we the last show on the network?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if we're the only ones on the network, there's a chance Mark is like not asleep yet, and he's tuning in. He's tuning in.
Probably. Oh shit! No, I'm kidding.
Sometimes Mark does watch for real though. It's awesome, but yeah.
Oh, he even called in on one of the past call-in shows. Matter of fact.
Yeah, he did. Because what was it? What was he like refuting us on? Because usually if he calls in, it's to refute something.
It was something Darrell was saying.
Yeah, I didn't think it was me because he has come on for me before, but it was Darrell. It was
shocking. He would defute Darrell in anything.
That's like saying he wouldn't refute Tim. Like it's either Tim or Darrell usually.
Oh man,
can't say I have watched
or just blowing the smoke at Buckeye Scoop.
I have watched Buckeye Scoop before a couple times, but no, I'm not a consistent watcher of Buckeye.
Yeah,
I
mean, I kind of see why they don't like the host though. I mean, you know, Michigan fan talking about Ohio State. I mean, you know. It's not a surprise. I mean, it's just like
so.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah, without getting too off track here, Burks brought up the expectation for Alabama, and Jeffrey, you brought up a great point though, and this is something that was disputed a whole lot with the expansion of the playoffs. Is that there's like, oh, we don't have to win the conference. Who cares? As long as we make the playoffs every year. And it does kind of bring the question, like, yeah, it immediately seems to have diminished a bit of the whole win-loss type of thing. I still do think conference championships are important. You want to get that trophy. You want to get the glory, so to say, of taking down the conference, even with a loss, maybe 2, depending on how it works out. But it does kind of diminish it, where it's like you can, and this is no disrespect to Ohio State from this last year, because guess what? They got hot when they needed to get hot. They were heated. They went the table. They got the title. Good for you. They lost 2 games in the regular season. Didn't even make the conference title game. I mean,
They
so
finished
it does
4th
kind
in
of
the Big
diminish it a
Ten.
little bit.
They finished 4th in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
That's
so it
that's
does
what's
kind
so
of diminish.
crazy about this. Prior to this, that would have never been feasible. Like, Ohio State would have missed the playoffs. People would have said their season was a disappointment. Ryan Day's seat is not great, and instead they make the playoffs because 12 teams, and they win the whole thing. It completely changes the dynamic, and I think it changes it for the worse, because it does make the conference championship games less important, which sucks, because like y'all won the Big Ten. You went 13-0, elite season, all that, and then you lose the first round of the playoffs, and it's like, darn, like, your season wasn't that great, because what it could have been, it's like, it was still great, but everybody's thinking the national championship. And that's what this playoff has done, and I don't like that. To me, it lessens the significance of the conference championship games a lot, and to me, it also lessens the significance of a lot of regular season matchups. Like, because I've had this discussion with Mark and others about making more games matter. Ole Miss Florida matters now. That Ole Miss Florida game mattered. Why? Because Florida beat Ole Miss, knocked Ole Miss out of the playoffs. If Ole Miss wins that game, they make the playoffs. So that game matters. But how much did that game matter? Not that much, but it mattered a little bit. But Michigan, Ohio State, that game 2 years ago was for all the marbles. Winner makes the playoff, loser does not. Last year, was it that big a deal? Because Ohio State lost the game, still makes the playoff and wins the whole thing. So it doesn't matter as much. That's what I don't like. I've had this discussion 8 billion times, and people still say I'm an idiot. I don't think I am. It makes the game less important.
No, you're not an idiot at all. I think most of us have agreed upon it time and time again over the last year and a half since the expansion was noted, as saying, okay, how is this going to affect the regular season stuff? And the regular season still became important.
Mm-hmm.
But then you saw a team just get hot at the right time and run through, like you just said. And again, there's no dig on Ohio State. They got hot at the right time. They went, they did their stuff. They took care of business. But yeah, it's like, then what was the point of going 13-0?
It isn't. What
was the damn point?
I mean, you think about last year, right? Like, you had Ohio State doing what they did. What's the one team from the year prior to that if the 12-team playoff existed, could have won it all? So we got Michigan fans that have said that their team, nobody could beat their team. They were by far the best team. Alabama took them to the wire. But who was the one team that did not make the playoffs that year that could have won it all if they had made it? Georgia. Georgia laid the wood on Florida State. We don't know if they had it, but in a 12-team playoff, maybe they get hot at the right time. It changes the dynamic, and I think it changes it for the worse because, like I said, you can lose multiple games and get away with it. You don't have to be perfect anymore. You could be down. You could be like, all right, you know what? We're Ohio State. We're playing Penn State, and we're just not feeling it today. You know what? We're gonna lose because it's like it puts us in a better position in the playoff. Which is stupid. It's like it's bad. And it's also, it's not even about the 12 team, it's also the format. We talked about the format as well, like of how it's set up. It's just dumb. Because the teams that are seated lower have a better shot to make it than the teams at the top. It's or further anyway.
Yeah, it's the seeding issue. A lot of that was because everyone said Oregon should have had the easiest path to a degree through the playoff because they were literally the only undefeated. But that Georgia team that beat Florida State down, that Florida State team was empty at that point.
I agree. I'm just saying
they gave up. But when you're saying why not lose a game? Spencer McLaughlin of Lockdown Ducks said it multiple times, and we had the question on Oregon Channel too: is should we just lose the conference title game? like literally just like throw in the towel and go, oh well, it probably would have worked out better.
Yeah, like if Oregon does not beat Penn State and win the Big Ten championship game, they don't play Ohio State in the first round.
It might have worked out better. Yeah, maybe. You never know.
We don't know, though. Like, we don't know how to play it out, but it's just these are discussions that we should not be having at all. These are horrible discussions. Like, this is frankly idiotic. It's insane that we're discussing scenarios where, oh, you choke a game or you lose this game, that it's better for you. That should never be the case. Winning a game should always be better than losing a game. Ohio State losing to Michigan helped them because they wouldn't have got as hot at the right time, more than likely, without that. We'll never know. But, I mean, something happened because the second they lose that game to Michigan, they just steamroll everybody. So it's crazy, like it shouldn't be that way. Like that game should have ended Ohio State's season. You know what I'm saying? Like it should have ended their season. It should for the playoffs. Like they missed the playoffs now. They're pissed. Like, oh my God, we lost to Michigan. We're playing in this insignificant bowl game. That's the way it used to be, which I still thought that sucked because it made the bowls insignificant when they made the playoffs. But that ship sailed a long time ago.
Well, is there also an insignificance or a deflating factor of so looking at like Alabama, for instance, you were like the bubble teams, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss, Tennessee got it, Alabama didn't. Michigan's lost a lot of people who sat out, whereas Alabama had a lot of their players, still lost to a pretty average Michigan team. Do you think that was a deflating factor then for that bowl game appearance to go? And it's not a dig on Alabama, but like the way that game played, was that like more of Alabama going, yeah, we don't really want to be here.
I don't think if Nick Saban was the coach, they lose that game. And I know people are going to be like, oh, here we go again. But all you got to do, and I know it's not the same scenario because not as talented of a team, but when Alabama missed the playoffs that one year with Nick Saban, they played Kansas State in that bowl game and completely laid the freaking woodshed on Kansas State. I know Kansas State is not Michigan, not as talented, but Alabama's not the same program anymore. They don't have the best coach of all time anymore. We got Kalen DeBoer. He's not capable of telling these guys like, yo, you're going to go out there in this insignificant bowl game and play your heart out. They went out there and played like trash is what they did. They played like trash. They didn't opt out, but they played like trash. Complete and utter trash. And if they had to play like they did against Georgia in the first half, they beat Michigan by a lot. But they didn't because they didn't even show up. So it's like, what was the point of even playing at all? You should have just opted out if that's the performance you were going to give. Like that's the frustrating thing. Because most teams, most programs, they all opt out their best players. Alabama, most of them played, but they didn't show up. So it's no different.
I like how we get the Indiana fan talking more than the Alabama host. Jackson, wake up.
I am an Alabama fan too, but I am known as
Lord.
I'm babysitting the chat because Trojan Fight's talking about Boise State asking if they beat Georgia twice. No, they beat Georgia in the 2011 Chick-fil-A kickoff, but Georgia beat Boise in 2005, I believe.
Yeah, that was the last elite Boise team, 2011, if I recall.
The most elite one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll double check.
They've had some solid Boise teams since.
Very good.
My mistake. I thought they played. Yeah, that's right. They did play in 2005. Yeah, Boise State got smacked off face of the earth in 2005. Of course.
Yeah.
But then Georgia won the SEC, but lost to two of their biggest rivals, Auburn and Florida. That's been the last time since Auburn has beaten Georgia in Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
So what? We talked about it on our Oregon show. We're going to talk about it probably on Sunday night, Jackson. Jeffrey,
right.
If you can stay awake, old man. What have you guys thought about this whole spring game talk? Deion Sanders brought up, and Fran Brown was like, yeah, we'll fly down there and play you for practice and play you for a few days or whatever. What do you guys thought on that?
I
I've
want
been
to see there be like a FCS game for the spring games. Like I want to see us play an FCS opponent. Or
Well,
like
I
a
mean, if they
small
did
game.
what you just said, like that's kind of what the NFL does, where like they'll have two teams and they practice against each other. I mean, I
that
wouldn't
seems
see
like
an
a
issue.
logistical nightmare though.
It would be a
for a
logistical
spring game.
nightmare. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with the FCS. That's where I went. I was like, because some people said, like Mike Gundy said, "Oh, let's bring back Bedlam." I'm like, that seems awfully aggressive for a spring game.
I know,
yeah,
right?
you wouldn't want that. There'd be a lot of injuries. Imagine like
I think
half of
Mike
each team is
Gundy-
injured for the year. Like all
I
these ACL.
appreciate the thought on it, but I'm like, yeah,
I
that
want
doesn't seem
the
like a brilliant
Bedlam
idea.
back, but not as a spring game.
I mean, honestly, I mean, Jackson is 110% correct. You know, do the FCS game and then make it where you don't play them in the regular season. No FBS program plays an FCS team unless it's like North Dakota State. That's fine.
Or make it like Boston College Holy Cross because they're rivals and like Rutgers,
but like
Princeton.
some of these ones are just a joke. Like when you got Tennessee and Alabama playing, you know, as some people would say, the Sisters of the Poor or whatever, and 80-0. It's like it's not no, and it's on SEC Network too. It's like this should be on SEC Plus, man, or like on the local channel because like I'm not even gonna watch that.
Put it on Disney.
I don't even care
because it's that bad. Just
Yeah,
put it on Disney XD after
so have them play in the spring game and keep the spring game. I don't like them getting rid of the spring game. I know why they're getting rid of it because they don't want to lose players to the portal. That's why.
I agree with Jackson. That's what we said last time. It's like, why not do the FCS game like Oregon versus Portland State? They get their check. It helps their athletics department, and you get a spring game out of it.
Yeah,
and you can still pay them just like you would normally.
You know, even though it's kind of a rivalry, but like have Washington State play Idaho or Idaho State. Yeah. Like you can find someone logistically for everybody.
Aren't they both FCS? Oh wait, I'm kidding.
Washington State is
I'm kidding.
barely in the pack. Idaho,
or Wazoo.
Idaho, man. I mean, they were in the FBS and they relegated themselves. Like, what are you doing, Idaho?
Put Idaho in the pack.
I don't need to hear about Idaho teams. Oregon
they ruined the
curse
battle
against
for
Idaho
the
teams.
They ruined the battle for the Palouse, man. Like Idaho was something. They had a rivalry game with Washington State. They're literally like 7 miles apart. And then you relegated yourself. Now you're nothing. You took out your own rivalry game. Like that's on you, man.
Exactly.
Well, I will get the hell out of here while it's 10:20 here. Jackson, keep up the good work. Jeffrey, you keep tagging along, doing what you do. Stay up on Sunday night because this Sunday night on the After Dark show, we have the Big 12 conference preview.
There we go.
That should be interesting. A lot of little interesting dynamics.
There's one rivalry game that I wish was on rivalry week, but it's in the middle of the season instead. But we'll talk about that Sunday night.
There we go. All right, you two have fun.
Give Ben a subscription on Oregon at the Voice College Football, and let's give him a subscription on his own personal channel. And oh man, like the one with the dog, like the dog doing stuff where he's oh my god, like it's just too funny. It's like anybody that watches this Sporting with Ben Sam, they know what I'm talking about.
It's After Dark Plus.
It's his own reality over there.
Yeah. Towing the line between PG-13 and R, right?
Oh, it's borderline banned.
Well, I mean, I don't see how we could be on towing R and X. Like, I don't even want to go that far.
It's close. It's close sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, YouTube allows a lot sometimes. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. It depends.
We won't get into details here. This is a family-friendly show.
Yeah, me and Jackson keep it PG. I go on a few rants every now and then, but it usually stays not even close to PG-13. We're good over here.
There you go.
I get a little more R-rated on After Dark sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I try not to delve that far. I mean, because most people they think I'm 15, so I gotta be nice. Sometimes.
I'm censoring myself tonight here on this channel for the most part. So
Yeah, you've done great, Ben. Good job.
All
There's
right.
no spaz here, so that helped.
it's true. That does
yeah.
help. So, all right. You guys have a great one. I'll get out of here for your next guest.
You
Appreciate
too,
it.
Ben. Stay safe, stay cool, stay away from that pollen.
Go Ducks.
Roll Tide. Oh, here we go. The moment you've been waiting for. You got the Stump Jack and Jeffrey moment on Alabama with the Voice of College Football for the call-in show. Here he is, my IT guy. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm just waking up. I'm all right though.
In Poland.
y'all sprung forward, so it's like 6 hour difference. I had to get up at 3 to get ready for this.
That is crazy. I mean, I've been up all day and I don't even feel like I've been awake yet. So I can't imagine that. I cannot.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, "Is your blood pressure rising today, Jeffrey?" It's like, I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. This is my last day for the class I've been teaching, so they're all excited. They're getting to go back home, and so hopefully I can make this a short day, so I can get
Oh, they
back
got an
here.
early summer.
I've got a test to take today too, and after that, I think I'm going to bed.
I don't blame you.
There you go.
It's the best thing to do after a test. I can't stand tests.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried about it. I haven't been able to study as much as I should have with everything that's going on. So we'll see. We'll see how we do.
There we go.
All right. Well, we shifted over to Grok
There we go.
because what was it? Chat GPT.
Yeah, they got put on blast on the Fine
Yeah,
Bomb.
Chat GPT was like a D-, and Grok, I give it about
There
a
you
C.
go.
It's okay. it needs work, but it's definitely an improvement.
But I did this one just strictly just NCAA football trivia questions. So we'll see how it goes.
Big Bean's got a question for you, Dad.
If I was part of that family, I'd be a lot fatter than I am. And I wouldn't be sitting in Poland right now either. So
It was sometime in like 2012 where he says something you like Dunkin' Donuts more than you do Krispy Kreme. I remember.
I'll tell you something. Back in the day before we had debit cards and use a tap with your phone and all that to make purchases. We used to have just checks or cash, right?
Mm.
I walked into a Dunkin' Donuts one time to get me a coffee and a donut, and they had a sign there that said, they didn't accept checks, right? And I flipped out my ID and I showed them. I said, "You're not going to take a check from me?" And the girl got all nervous and stuff. She's like, "Oh." I said, "I'm just kidding with you." she thought I was like part of the chain or something. I was like, "Oh,
that's funny.
It's
that's
just
hilarious.
a name."
That is hilarious. Oh man.
Oh,
Do you like Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts better, for real? Both of you.
I stick to the name, man. Dunkin' Donuts all the way.
All right. What about you, Jackson?
Oh, I can't eat any of them. I just go by the Whole Foods brand.
Okay.
But if I had to, it would be like Krispy Kreme for me.
I would
like
go Krispy Kreme too, because like Dunkin' Donuts when they're fresh are great, but typically when I go, they're not. And Krispy Kreme, when you warm them up, they're still really good. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to be hot and fresh. Like you warm them up and they're still great. You can even freeze them and eat them after like 3 months and they're still really good. So for me with that, they win. But really fresh Dunkin' Donuts, which I've rarely ever had in my life, they're right there. But yeah, that's my analysis. I kept it as brief as I could.
But yes, everyone in the audience, do not eat donuts every day. They're bad for you.
I mean,
They're yummy, but
I
they're bad
clearly
for you.
don't. I mean, I don't eat donuts very often.
That's why he's skin and bones. I mean, it's like Jeffrey. I remember we had like some conversation where like some people were like, "You gotta eat this, you gotta eat that." It's like, no, because I'm gonna look like that.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't wanna, be like Lizzo and all those other people, man. Like, this is not my thing, man. I try to watch what I eat healthy as much as I can. So
There you go.
Yeah, in the Army, they call donuts fat pills.
I mean, if I was to get into the military, I'd probably have to eat some of them. But give me some healthy food, man. Like, come on, like, what are you doing?
Oh man, that just got me thinking about Gomer Pyle on Full Metal Jacket, where he's just like snaking a little jelly donut into his locker. Like, that's just dumb.
So y'all ready to start a little bit of this?
We're all set.
All right, let's see what we can come up with here. All right.
Oh,
The first college football game was played on November 6th, 1869.
Rutgers, Princeton.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rutgers.
Well, when Rutgers hosted what Ivy League university? Yeah, Princeton. Y'all got
Princeton,
it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to finish the question, did I?
Yeah, I think most college football fans know that, like die hard and to decent like fans, but like casuals wouldn't know. But like, that is one that I do know. But Jackson's on top of
it. All right, who won the inaugural Big 12 championship game in 1996?
Texas Longhorns over Nebraska.
I knew it had to be Nebraska because that's Osborne's years, but I wouldn't have known the other one.
All right, so in 1997, when some young man was born there, Jack, UNM lost to WAC championship game to what team?
Who? UNM?
Yes, sir.
Is that New Mexico?
Oh man, like what
University
are the
of New Mexico? That's UNM.
I would guess so. University of New Mexico.
It better be. Oh man, what are the multiple choice options?
Colorado State, BYU, Utah, and Wyoming.
This is 1997. New Mexico. Oh man, BYU was dominating the WAC at that time. Yeah, you may have to reread the question.
All right, 1997. UNM lost to WAC championship game to what team?
I'll go BYU.
It has to be BYU. Because, I mean, like, the WAC only played the conference title game from 96 to 98 until BYU, TCU, Utah left for the Mountain West Conference to go form that little baby right there.
Well, it was Colorado State.
Colorado State.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
Well, BYU 96 was 14-1 that year. I think they played Kansas State in the Cotton Bowl.
All I know about BYU is 1984 BYU, and it's so annoying.
Oh yeah, that's like a running joke on The Voice College Football, but I won't explain it. But when you're in the chat, you'll hear a lot about it.
Mm-hmm. So, do you know what the final score was of that game?
It was like a 41-13 victory, 97.
You got that?
Yeah. No, like, dude, you didn't even know who it was. You knew the score. That is so messed up, man.
Yeah.
Like, ow.
I don't know what team it was, but it was 41-13.
That is unfreaking real. That is unfreaking real. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. What college team plays in the Happy Valley?
Penn State. Everybody knows that. They're not so happy now.
They're mid. No, they're better than mid. They're better than mid.
All right. Frank Sinkwich was the SEC halfback to win the Heisman Trophy in 1942. Which SEC program did he play for?
That would be Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Had
I
no
mean,
idea.
Georgia won it all in 42.
All
But,
I know about 1942 is World War II is going on. That's about it.
well, yeah,
Disney
yeah,
movies, like Bambi was like around there.
yeah,
About
like
it.
Donald Duck was in a war uniform. I know that.
Oh yeah, you've seen some of those war shorts, right? For Disney, man, like they're banned.
Yeah.
Like those are
Oh, I love the Commander Doug, where it's like
Yeah.
at the end of the short where he's like, contacted enemy, wiped out, nope, washed out, same, Donald Duck.
That is so funny, man. That is so funny.
All right. The Air Force football program started in 1955. But what year did the Falcon Stadium open?
Ooh, multiple choices. Let's hear them.
Okay. You got 1958, 1962, 1965, and 1970.
I'm gonna have to go 1970.
I'll go 62.
Jeffrey got it.
Yep.
That was a guess. Total guess. I had no idea. Wow. Crazy.
Which school is known as the Mecca of college football in South Bend?
Notre Dame.
Yep, Notre Dame. All right. Which program holds the record for the most lopsided victory in college football history, beating Cumberland 222 to 0?
Georgia Tech, 1916.
Yep.
That's such a stupid score. What were they doing? Like, literally, what were they doing in 1916?
Trying to make sure the Spanish flu wasn't coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they played so well. Like, they probably drafted him after that.
Okay, this should be an easy one. Who was the only player to win the Heisman Trophy twice?
Archie Griffin, 1974 and 75.
Yep.
Very good.
Archie. There you go.
All right. What was written on Kentucky's jerseys in 2008 instead of player's name?
Oh, man. Multiple choices. So it's going to take me a minute.
Wildcats, Kentucky, Bluegrass, Cats.
I remember they were 6-6. They were 2-6 that year. And they lost to Tennessee in Phil Farmer's final game as head coach in 08. So I have to be Wildcats.
Negative. It was Kentucky.
Why would they do that? That's so random.
That's a Jack question. Apparently,
that is such a random thing to do. Interesting.
Well, they were a disaster in 08, but on the bright side, they did beat the Conference USA champ in the Liberty Bowl, East Carolina. So, I mean, I guess that would be a positive for them.
All right. Which team won the 2024 college football playoff national championship?
Are they basing it off 2024, 2025, or is it 2023,
I was going to say the same thing.
2024?
I'm guessing 2024.
Yeah, because 2024,
Michigan.
yeah, 2024, 2025 was the Buckeyes. 2023, 2024 was Michigan.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's talking about Michigan. Yeah. I would assume that because I mean, usually they carry it over, but to Jackson's point, some people sometimes it gets misconstrued because people say, "Oh, the 2024," and then it's like this year's, even though but the whole season was in 2024. But yeah, Michigan would have been 2023, 2024. Yeah. So.
All right. So what was the score?
Oh, Michigan dominated the crap out of Washington that night.
You got to know the score, Jackson.
Oh, man. Well,
I mean,
it was by double digits. It was by double digits.
Yeah, literally Jackson like knows the score of like some random whack game that he didn't even know the team of in 1997. But you're telling me you don't remember the national championship last year? Come on, man, you know it.
Well,
You
telling the
know
boys ours now. So it's like you get 1,000 days every day. Make sure it's one of them.
You know, Jeffrey?
I'm trying to think. If I hear the multiple choice, I'll know it.
Okay, I'll give you multiple choice. 34-13, 28-7, 31-20, and 42-10.
The first one.
First one.
Yep,
I remember
34-13.
31-13. Yeah, the game could have been a lot closer, but Washington kept making mistakes.
Jackson, how did you not know that? That was just last year.
I'm shocked. Like I was just gonna let him have it. Like he knows that.
Back in 1816, it was such and such. Well, what was last year? I don't know. What?
Like, how does that even work? I mean, he's like for me, like I remember more of the stuff that I was alive for. Like I don't know none of that junk.
That's hilarious, man. All right, who was named college football coach of the year in 1984?
1984. It would have to be Lavelle Edwards from BYU.
Jeffrey?
What's the multiple choice?
I'm guessing Don James.
You want to call in a friend?
I'm thinking Don James is in that list.
Okay. Joe Paterno, Barry Switzer, Jim Wacker, and Bobby Bowden.
Lavelle Edwards was a great guess from Jackson because that's who the BYU Stadium's named after. And they had the 80 great season. Well, who do you think out of that, Jackson? I'm kind of leaning.
I'm thinking it's Barry Switzer or Bobby Bowden.
Paterno?
Penn State.
Jim Wacker.
Wacker. The only one me and Jackson did say. I thought it was Paterno. That's crazy.
Y'all said everybody else but Wacker.
Who was he the coach of?
You know, you can fact check it, though. I mean, this is Grok's about 80% compared to, what was it, ChatGPT?
Jim Wacker was an American football coach of Texas Lutheran from 71 to 75, North Dakota State 76 to 78, Texas State 79 to 82, TCU from 83 to 91. So that's where he would have been in 84. TCU. Jeez. And then he was at Minnesota. Yeah, that's crazy.
Give out Coach of the Year for being 8-4. God.
Yeah, let me look that up. Coach of the Year 1984.
Oh, well, you got smacked by Texas.
While y'all doing that, I'm going to get some coffee.
All righty. You get named Coach of the Year for being mid against Texas at Texas A&M. That's your accomplishment? Oh, no. Like, no. I mean, Doug Flea got the Heisman, so I mean, that's a plus.
Is claiming that it was Morrison on Google.
So. Lavelle Edwards got the Paul Bryant Award.
Yeah, Walter Camp said it was Morrison. So two different.
And they're not even on this list here.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
I think Grok needs to look at the history of BYU football again.
Maybe he won one award because there are multiple. Maybe he won one award, but like sometimes there are unanimous ones. Like some years, like Kurt Signetti basically won them all this past year. But some years it's split between different people for the different awards because they don't know who to pick. It was because it was so close. That's interesting. That one we were stumped, and we still don't know the answer, too.
Oh, and let me look at that. That was supposed to be like a medium top question, not a hard one. Okay, what school's original mascot was a bulldog before switching to Sun Devils?
Arizona
State.
State.
Yeah, I only knew that because of the second one. The second.
Yeah, and you know, it says that one was supposed to be a hard question.
There's only one Sun Devil.
I only know one Sun Devil. So.
That's funny.
Okay, what city hosts the Liberty Bowl?
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis.
Yep. You ever been to Memphis, Jeffrey?
I actually have a couple of family members that live there, so I have visited there.
I've driven through there many a time. I don't stop there.
No, you got to stay away from certain parts. Yes, it's not safe. Not safe.
What school did Joe Namath play for?
Alabama.
Before his NFL career.
Alabama.
Yep.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah, Jackson's on top of that.
I mean, he went to school Beaver. He was in high school at Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Had a good friend over there. And he went to Bama.
That was a medium question.
Everybody knows that.
That should have been an easy one.
Mm.
All right. Which team did Notre Dame defeat in the 1925 Rose Bowl to win its first national championship?
Stanford.
See, Jeffrey, 1925 Stanford.
Like, I don't know that, man. Like, that was 100 years ago.
What was the Michigan game last year? I don't know.
It's so funny. Like, how do you know that, Jackson? Like, I don't know. All I know about Stanford is they were good with Harbaugh. They were good with the first half of David Shaw. Now they suck.
And that Troy Taylor is a moron.
Yeah, Troy Taylor got fired. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, Jackson, what was the final score of that game?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look back at it like one of these days.
I would have cracked up hard if you had said like I gotta go back and think on that one. Like you were there. Like you're 100 years old and you were there. Like, come on. I gotta think.
But on the bright side, there's the Nets Rose Bowl where Alabama became the team that changed the South forever, where we beat Washington. So 20 unanswered points third quarter.
Well, the final score of that game was 27-10.
Yeah, I have no idea. Anything prior to like 2000.
That's a good thing they didn't have television back then. Like that.
They had radio, but I don't know if it was working for that.
Yeah, but I think like 27-10 in the Rose Bowl. It's like, yeah, we're not gonna let the kids listen to that. Sorry.
No.
All right. Which team's fans are known for the Sweet Caroline sing-along, I mean.
I know that.
Go for it, Jeff.
I need the multiple choice though, but I know it. Let me see.
Okay. Multiple choice is Boston College, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and Clemson.
Wait a minute. Stop. You know Jackson?
I'm guessing Boston College because I know the Red Sox sing it. I know
Sure,
our buddy.
we'll go with that. That's
I know Joey. I like Joey's version where he has a sweet Caroline, eat crap pet. Oh, that's not what it is, but Mom was watching.
All right, it was Boston College.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was expecting, but it makes sense when he said what he said with the Boston's major teams. So that makes sense.
Well, and I remember
I know Neil Diamond sang it, so that's cool. Like,
ironically, I first learned about like Boston like having "Sweet Carolina" as their chant from like Ted 2, but that was it. Like "Sweet Caroline," bop bop bop.
Some people do overdo that part.
Yeah.
All right. Which coach preceded Tom Osborne at Nebraska?
What was the question again?
Which coach preceded Tom Osborne
Frank
at
Solich.
Nebraska? Who?
Frank Solich.
Now you're saying proceeded, so it's not after, because you're right.
Oh,
If it's
before,
after,
yeah,
it's before.
but before that, was,
Preceded.
yeah, before Tom Osborne was Bob Devaney.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, I knew Frank Solich. I don't know Bob.
Bama got
And
smacked.
I wasn't alive, man. I know Frank Solich and Bo Pelini. Like, I know those guys, but I don't know way back when, man.
Well, YouTube member Case John 1 says Jackson's brain, dude, you got a lot of stuff in there. I appreciate very much.
Yeah, he does. So much so that he can't remember last year. He's got all the 20s and 30s and 1910s, but it's crazy.
1869. What happened last year? I don't know. All right. What year did Michigan State join the Big Ten Conference?
1951.
Yeah, they were after Chicago left. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, according to Grok, not me, 1853.
What?
The Big Ten didn't even exist.
I'm sorry, not 1853. 1953.
Okay. I want to say like the Big Football didn't even exist in 1853.
Well,
1953.
I'm barely on my second cup of coffee here. So.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. I was just you had me tripping. That's funny.
But y'all can fact check that one. Which team is nicknamed, oh gosh, the Crimson Tide?
Alabama. Everybody, that's easy level. Easy level.
It's literally the name of our call-in show.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care where you're from, even in the world, you should know that.
Everybody knows that. You don't even need to be a football fan to know that.
I mean, it's different if you say which team is the Bulldogs, which team is the Wildcats. Yeah, there's like tons of those, but if it's the Crimson Tide, the Tar Heels, like something like that, you know who it is. Even the Hoosiers, you know who it is. Like, I mean, Alabama is probably the most iconic, especially on football. But like some of them are easy. Sun Devils is easy. Like when they're only one of them. Yeah.
I mean, even over here in Europe, a lot of people know who the Crimson Tide are.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty impressive, honestly.
Which school won the first Rose Bowl game in 1902?
Michigan.
Yep.
You knew it was either Michigan or Ohio State. I didn't know which one.
Ohio State. I think they weren't even a thought then.
They weren't even a thought then. There you go. See, it shows what I know.
So what was the final score of that game?
I think it was a shutout against Stanford.
What was the final score?
Around like 38-0.
Close, 49-0.
Oh. Well, I was right about the shutout.
Like why there's such big blowouts back then. Like you wouldn't think there would be. Like they played with wood helmets. I mean, what? Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. What was the original name of the Florida Gators stadium before it became Ben Hill Griffin Stadium?
Ooh, give us multiple choices.
Florida Field, Gator Bowl, Swamp Stadium, and Citrus Field.
Florida Field.
Which one?
Florida Field.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Which team's mascot is a live buffalo named Ralphie?
Colorado.
Yep. Which school did Herschel Walker play for?
Georgia.
He won the Heisman Trophy.
Georgia.
Yeah, that's pretty much a given, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the only ones that I know prior to 2000. Like
he won the Heisman in '82, but unfortunately, they didn't want to give those out to freshmen in 1980.
Yeah, he was unbelievable, man.
I hate that Bama and Georgia didn't play that year, but I mean that's one of history's greatest mysteries. Why did Alabama and Georgia not play each other in 1980?
All right, which school?
Oh, hold on.
I was about to read the same one.
We've got our update on our next opponent, or maybe Arizona could be, not sure. Duke's winning 75-63 with 9 minutes left in the game. Arizona, get to that comeback now. We don't want to be playing Duke.
Is Calipari really going to go to the Elite Eight, man?
Yes,
Like,
he's really
come
going
on.
to the Elite
Come
Eight.
on, man.
That's what they hired him for. They didn't
It's
hire
going to get
him.
even more insufferable, though, man.
They weren't.
It's already bad enough.
I don't think like Arkansas was bringing him on just so they could be 1 seeds every year.
Did you think he was going to go to the Elite Eight, though?
No.
Like,
nobody
I
did.
didn't. Like,
I
he
think
really made the
Arkansas did.
tournament. I mean, he's a good coach, but man, I feel like people do overrate him though. Like especially with all things considered with what he's done in his career. You know, like the controversies and allegations and stuff. I don't know. It's just he's gonna do it. It looks like he's gonna go to the Elite Eight. What can I do?
He will.
All right. What year did the NCAA officially adopt the 2-point conversion rule?
That was 1958.
Very good.
Well, because I remember watching a Keith Jackson video of the 20s and 30s of Alabama football where he was like talking about, Washington scored another touchdown, but they did not have the 2-point conversion back then, and thus Alabama wins the Rose Bowl. It was funny though. He was talking a little bit about Johnny Matt Brown, who was part of that 1926 Alabama squad. Well, 1925. Like he became like a famous actor. But it was funny though. I was watching him on an episode Tales of Wells Fargo, where he was like the baddie. He was like the crooked sheriff of that episode, and I'm like, dang, you went from going to the Rose Bowl, leading Alabama to greatness and awesomeness, being the team that changed the South, to playing the bad man on a Western show. Come on. That's oh man. You don't do that to an old man. You just don't do that. But on the bright side, he did get to go to the 1948 Iron Bowl. So that was cool.
That's a lot of history that I knew nothing of. I learn something new every day when I'm talking with Jackson because I wouldn't have known none of that.
They don't teach that in college, do they?
No, they do not.
And you don't go into debt when learning from me. So
that's a win.
All right, which team plays at Darrell Royal, Texas?
Texas.
Darrell A. Royal.
DKR.
Yeah, if you couldn't get that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think most people will know that. I think.
All right. Which team upset Miami in 1984 to win its first national championship under Coach Howard Schnellenberger?
Miami won the national title under Schnellenberger. They upset Nebraska. Miami upset Nebraska. Miami was ranked 5th. Nebraska was number 1.
Well, it's saying here which team upset Miami.
Oh, which team upset Miami? That was the Florida Gators week 1, and then like Miami came back
in 1984.
Oh, 1984.
To win the first national championship under Coach Howard Schnellenberger.
Howard Schnellenberger was at Miami.
I was just know 1984 was the BYU team. That they
Howard
claimed won it all.
He was coaching. He went to go lead for the USFL.
It was BYU.
Yeah, I don't remember BYU and Miami playing each other in 1984.
BYU didn't win a title that year.
BYU upset Miami in 1990, but I don't see BYU and Miami playing each other in 1984.
I got it right, even though it's not right somehow. I just know BYU 1984. That's all I know. I know Jackson's right though. There's no way because they did not win.
Jimmy Johnson was coaching in his first year at Miami in
That's
84.
crazy. That is crazy. I don't
He
know.
led
I don't know if Grok is messing with us or what. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just reading what it says. Y'all can GTS. That means Google that stuff.
Yep.
All right. Which school's football team was originally called the Aggies before coming the Wolfpack?
North Carolina State.
NC State.
Yep.
And I only knew that because of the Wolfpack.
That's the team that won the ACC since 1979.
Okay, which team is known for the Hail Mary pass in 1975 game against Michigan?
1975 against Michigan and a Hail Mary pass.
It's not Doug Flutie with
No.
BC because that was the 80s.
I mean, there's Colorado, Michigan, 1994. Keith Jackson about lost his voice calling that one.
I don't know.
Give us the options for 1975.
All right, Notre Dame, Ohio State, USC, and BYU.
I don't think Michigan BYU played in 75. Michigan Notre Dame didn't play each other until 1978. So I would have to say USC.
Jeffrey?
What were the
Maybe.
options again?
Ohio State, BYU, USC, Notre Dame.
I'll go with Notre Dame.
That would be correct.
Just a guess.
No.
I mean, I know Notre Dame was good back then, so they had Lou Holtz. So, like, all right. Just a guess. I don't know if it's right, though.
I think Grot's going to have to.
I've got like 3 of these right just guessing, and I don't even know if I'm right.
I think Grot will have to recheck some of its stuff about like Michigan Notre Dame a little bit.
All right, which coach led Oklahoma to 47 consecutive wins from 1953 to 1957?
Bud Wilkinson. Bud Wilkinson. Yep. I should know because like I was doing posts on there for the Voice of College Football several months back.
I thought you were about to say I was doing post-game coverage of the games. I was like, what? Man, it would not surprise me, man. It would not surprise me.
I was like making sure I'm getting like a post out for the social media account being like, oh, well, 55 days till kickoff. Bud Wilkinson's 37-game win streak and 47-game win streak. Boom, boom, boom. 53, 57. Notre Dame ended that losing streak, ironically.
All right. This has got to be the stupidest thing ever. This is supposed to be a hard question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Jack, just let me read through it, okay? What was the score when Georgia Tech beat Cumberland 222-0 in 1916?
222 nothing.
That's supposed to be a hard question.
It gave it to you. It would have been hard if it didn't give it to you. Oh man, that's funny.
I'm considering putting Grok on blast.
Yeah, Grok is moving down to a C-. Like it's slipping a bit.
I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, is this supposed to be like a trick question? Because it's right there.
Unreal.
Oh, you ever watch those YouTube videos, whatever, when people asking questions about the history of the United States out on the street?
Mm-hmm.
I bet this right here would stump some of those people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes me laugh. It'll be like, which country did we declare independence from? And they're like, I don't know, China? Like, what? like, what? Are you kidding me right now? Like, it was Great Britain. Like, it was England. And they'll be like, what year did we do the Declaration of Independence? 1844? Like, no, it's 1776. Like, some of this stuff is just brain dead easy. Like, everybody should know this. Like, I like history, so I know a lot of stuff like that. But people just crack me up. Like, I know they don't teach none of that stuff hardly anymore, so they should in school. That's a big problem that they don't. But the fact nobody knows basic history, like, come on.
Yeah. What country is the Eiffel Tower in? Paris?
Yeah, like Paris is a country. Like, what
That's
do you
stuff a baby can get.
Unreal. It's so funny. It's so funny.
And then they don't teach cursive writing anymore,
Yeah, I know how to do it. I learned how to do it. But not in school. I kind of did it myself, but
Good
yeah.
deal.
I mean, they had like a
I
cursive
wonder-
book that you could like copy from. Like it was like at Walmart for like $1. Like it was just like why anybody can learn how to do this for $1.
Yeah.
This little book, it had like all the words. You just trace it, you learn how to do it. It was cool. Like it's
Maybe they did that on purpose so we, younger generation can't actually read the Constitution anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like wouldn't
But,
surprise
yeah.
me. Thankfully, I could read it, even though it's that old English and it's like all the S's were like F's. Still, I can read it though.
Walmart, where you can find hidden gems in places you never think you'd find it, and where you have crazy dudes as your cashier.
Yeah,
It's like, oh man, it's like,
everybody's crazy at Walmart. Like you become crazy when you're in Walmart.
oh yeah, just
Drives
like
me
that
nuts.
cashier dude. Like when Dad and I were shopping for my sister's birthday day before, it's like it was like he was like, whoa, bro, like I'm not going down your aisle. Note to self: do not get the preseason magazines from there.
No,
Order them from home.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like one of these days,
All right.
Dad, we'll have to get Jeffrey tell you his crazy cashier story.
Yeah, we'll have to do that offline.
yeah.
We don't want to get the show shut down.
Nope.
Probably
No
would.
strike.
Which team's fans waved the white pom-poms during the games at Beaver Stadium?
Penn
Penn
State.
State.
Yeah.
That was probably a hard question too. Probably.
No, it's actually easy, believe it or not.
Wow, I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
All right, which school did Barry Sanders play for? when he
Oklahoma
won the
State.
Heisman
Oklahoma
Trophy in
State.
1988.
Oklahoma State.
Yep. Which team did USC defeat? Hang on. All right. Which team did USC defeat in the 1973 Rose Bowl to win the national championship?
1970 Rose Bowl. That was
1970.
1973.
1973. Okay.
I was 3.
That would be the Buckeyes.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's either
Well,
Ohio
the
State or
final
Michigan.
score?
Usually,
No, Woody
What was
Hayes.
that, Jeffrey?
it's usually Ohio State or Michigan on all of those. If it's
Yeah.
if it's a Big Ten team in the Rose Bowl, winning it.
So, what was the final score of the game?
Ooh. Does it show the options or no?
You mean you don't know it?
Not tonight, I don't, but I'll have to look back on the Rose Bowl history.
He knows the 1920s better than the 1970s, which is great.
All right. Your choices are 42 to 17, 28 to 14, 35 to 7, and 21 to 10.
I would say 21-10.
9. Nope.
No.
What were the other options again?
42 17, 28 14, 35 7.
I'll go 28-14.
It was 42 17.
Wow. Blowout.
Well, Woody Hayes was probably pitching a fit at the cameraman.
This is too easy. I can't ask that. Which team is named the Buckeyes?
Ohio
Yeah, Ohio State.
All right. Which school won the first BCS national championship game in 1999?
Tennessee.
Yeah, you were like what, 2 years old then?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I was a year old.
Yeah.
So it was January 1999, and Keith Jackson calling that. Yep, I was a year old. And it was against Florida State Seminoles.
All right. What year did the forward pass become legal in college football?
Oh,
A
man.
long time ago.
I agree with you.
There you go. Give us the options for multiple choice, because I think I can pin it down.
1918, 1900, 1912, 1906.
1906, 1912, and what?
1900 and
1918.
1918.
I'm thinking like 1912. 1906.
1906.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. We'll give that one, Jeffrey. He got it. He got
Which
it.
team's mascot is a leprechaun?
Notre
Notre
Dame.
Which school did O.J. Simpson play for when he
USC.
won the Heisman
USC.
Trophy in 1968?
Oh, he slashed UCLA.
They beat Indiana in the Rose Bowl in 1967.
Oh yeah. He took
What
Indiana
school did you
to
say? What school?
In 1967, O.J. Simpson's USC team beat Indiana in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the only time Indiana made the Rose Bowl, so like I know that. Well, they made the Rose Bowl this year with UCLA in the regular season, but that don't count. It's not the Rose Bowl.
Well, Indiana will be making the Rose Bowl, or at least they'll try to with Kurt Cincinnati.
All right. Which team did Alabama defeat in 1926 Rose Bowl to win its first
Washington. Washington. They defeated Washington 20-19.
Well, you got the second answer or second question.
That's what I'm saying. He knows that better than the 70s. I bet Jackson probably knows 1920s music better than 70s music. It would not shock me at all. Like I couldn't name you anything from the 20s, but I can name you probably 100 bands from the 70s.
All right, so we got about one more question to go here, and we're done. What was the name of the trophy awarded to the national championship before the BCS system?
Oh man.
Oh man.
Give us some options, because I think I've got this one.
Okay, Maxwell Trophy, Greatland Rice Trophy, Lombardi Trophy, or Outland Trophy?
Lombardi's the Super Bowl, and Outland Trophy's like for the old offensive line. And what's the other two? Like, give us the other two again.
Maxwell, and there was one more.
Graceland Rice Trophy.
I'll say it's the Maxwell.
Nope.
Graceland Rice then.
That's it.
Sure. That's what I was gonna say. Sure.
I'd never heard of it.
Me neither. I don't even know what it is.
It's been a minute. It's like,
Hey, it's like 5 a.m. for me, and I've got a bunch to do this before they get to class today. So
That's tough.
Well, we appreciate another exciting edition of the Stop Jeffrey part of the Alabama College Show.
I had a great time. I thought it was fun. Well, y'all have a good night. I was about to say good day. Y'all have a good night.
Actually, already in the AM on the East Coast, though.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make sure Jeffrey gets to bed before the Nets bat signal tries to call him.
Yeah, I want to be in bed before 1 if possible.
Well, Poland's going to spring forward this weekend, so I'm dreading that.
Well, that sucks on that, but that's cool. I'm guessing like around the world they do it at different times. I guess.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, there's a lot of countries that don't even do it anymore. So
I'd be happy to get rid of it here. They claim in America they've been trying to get rid of it, but they haven't. So
my dad told me when I was young.
Me too, Godfather. That's possible.
When they started doing the daylight savings time, said that some of the farmers were complaining, said it was going to be too much sun. Too much sun on their crops. Jin Dobry means hello. That's
There
about
you
all I know.
It's kind of like I know Konnichiwa is like hello in Japan, but like I know nothing else. Like not fluent in any
Gesundheit is
language.
bless you in German.
Yeah. See.
I'm better with my German than Polish. I haven't had any desire to jump in and learn the language here. I've been too busy between teaching classes, taking classes, you know, and all the other stuff we got going on back home. So
I mean, there's some basketball players from like other countries or whatever that they'll show. Like there was a couple that played for Arizona a couple years ago that knew like 8 languages, and they were showing them talking in all 8 languages, and I'm just like, cool. But at the same time, it's like I would not want to like spend that amount of time to have to learn another language. Like I don't even know every word in the English language. Like I know most, but I mean, there's probably a few out there I don't know. Like it's tough enough knowing one language. And I know some people be like, oh, you know, like you're not smart then. Like it's not about smarts. It's just hard. If that's what they choose to do and want to learn all those languages, cool. But like that's not easy either. It takes a lot of time.
I've got a couple of cousins that speak. I'm thinking they're about 5 languages.
That's cool.
They're half Spanish. My uncle married my aunt in Rota, Spain, and my 2 cousins that they had, they speak English. Of course, they speak Spanish, Italian, and I think they're speaking Dutch because they live up in Belgium, and they were learning German when we all lived in Germany together. So
that's cool. I mean, Spanish is not the worst to do because like English and Spanish, a lot of the words are similar. Not all of them, but like some words are very similar. Like you see a Spanish word and you're like, yeah, I can tell that's like what this word is in English. Some of them are completely different, but other languages, I mean, they're completely different. Like the words don't even sound the same.
So, I can't speak Spanish, but if I'm around people that speak Spanish for a little bit, I know what they're talking about. You know,
it's the one that you can pick up on. It kind of works, but yeah. I definitely would not know like Chinese. Like I have no idea. Like you see Chinese writing and it's like, what is this? Like I don't know what any of this is. Like it's completely.
When I drive to work, I listen to the radio. Of course, it's all in Polish, but there's similar words in there with the German language and stuff. So I kind of can keep up with a little bit about what they're talking about. But you know, I'm training Ukrainian soldiers right now. And I've gotten to where I've picked up on, I can tell what they're talking about. I don't know exactly what they're saying, but I can pick up about what they're talking about. So I was able to ask the question the other day before the translator was able to translate it. And they were like, you know, I'm like, well, I've been around them a few days. I kind of figured out what they're talking about. You know, same happened with me when I was in Iraq. I mean, I was there for 5 years. I can't read it. It looks like chicken scratch to me, but you know, I can somewhat carry on a conversation with them, and I understand what they're saying.
It's actually wild to think about that like around the world, like you can maybe pick up some stuff. You don't know what they're saying, but you can kind of get it. It's crazy how that works. I mean, because you just think looking at the language, like. I have no idea, like no shot. But then, like you're saying, like you're around them and you kind of understand it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, when you're stuck living with them in close quarters for 5 years straight, you're going to pick up on something.
Yeah, like you know, like when they're angry and like they say something, like you know, that's the angry word, you know. Or something like that. That's
you know, back in the 90s when I moved to Germany, you know, as a soldier, I always thought Germans hated each other. It sounded like they were arguing Every time you would see somebody talking, it sounded like they were arguing. But by the time I got to where I could understand German and speak it, I realized that they just talk rough with each other,
But they're not like angry. It just sounds.
No,
like
they're not angry, but it
that's
sounds harsh.
crazy. It's unbelievable.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to have to get out of here. I got to get ready to go.
All righty. We'll be going over.
I had a good time tonight. It's good to
It was
see
a
y'all.
lot
I'm
of
sorry I
fun.
missed y'all last week.
We're sorry about that for last week, man.
Glad we were able to do it this week, and hopefully your everything goes great. Your test and everything goes great today, and get some sleep.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah, get some sleep afterwards.
in about 20 hours, maybe I can go to bed.
There you go.
All right. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
Sounds great.
Bye now.
Bye. Well, and that was my dad, the IT guy of the Jacksonian and Alabama Voice College Football, calling in for the Stump Jack Jeffrey hour of the show. That was another wild one. It was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Oh man. But we'll have to go over this storyline before my voice completely gives out.
Yeah, before I fall asleep.
I know, right? But the spring scrimmage, like we had our first spring scrimmage this Thursday morning. 115 plays, 50 snaps. And unfortunately, stats were not released. But Coach DeBoer gave his thoughts on the quarterback battle between Simpson, Mack, and Russell, where he says, as far as just accuracy, there's maybe two balls. One was a really short pass that you really wanted to see. We got the real MVP, and because that's because he is my dad, Babine. So that's why. But anyway, we got Darrell calling in for tonight, help us give our take on the first spring scrimmage for Alabama The Voice College Football.
Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We've got about 10 minutes for the call, then we'll be skiing on daddling.
So that's nice to hear, Jackson. I mean, is Alabama playing the spring game this year, or is it one of the teams that are just chickening out and not playing this year because they're scared of other coaches poaching their players?
We're playing the spring game. It's just modified.
Yeah, we're not completely canceling it like other schools, but it definitely, all of them are trending in that direction, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. In my opinion, everybody's FCS game should be in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
It'll at least be something more than what we got, and none of these FCS teams, except North Dakota State and the Montana schools, actually have any sort of chance of winning. So, it's a nice for them as well to get additional exposure.
All of the good FCS schools have left. I mean, like James Madison, App State, like all those, have moved to the FBS. So, like you said, it's essentially down to North Dakota State, maybe South Dakota State, and the Montana schools, and that's it. I mean, and they might jump to the FBS eventually.
I mean, with how much expansion we're doing, and Jeffrey, I know you're a fan of expansion, so we're even expanding the amount of Division I teams to, 135 now, 134 with Kennesaw State being added recently.
Yeah, that's a joke,
Houston.
man.
I mean, if those programs can be in it, then why not? And yeah, it could be Alabama's last spring game. I mean, maybe that'll be incentive for people to go there because I know spring games draw a different crowd than in the fall. I mean, you guys know this as members of the SEC, but the price difference between a spring game and a Saturday in the fall is pretty exorbitant. Would you all agree with that?
Absolutely.
So, honestly, if you get rid of this game, then it's going to really shut out a lot of the audience of people who can be engaged in the football season because Uncle Lou talks about it a lot, how it's there. He went there with his dad, and it was his family's time to go there.
I saw that video where Uncle Lou was talking about where he's just like some of the changes in college football that he's not been too happy with. I remember like one part of the video where he talked a little bit about how he was worried that Florida State, Georgia Tech might get moved up to week 1. That was like one of the parts that I remember hearing him talk about where he's worried about something like that happening.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I
hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't either. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to flex the final week of the regular season to determine these conference races. So because of that, I think all these rivalry games are going to be moved to the front of the season. It's the only way to keep them to work. And I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I mean, at least we get to keep them this way, because I think there's a real chance if we expand the SEC to 9 conference games, they may just get the axe overall. And I hate to do that. I just don't like people canceling their spring games. I don't think you should operate in fear.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, like, because our first caller was talking about tradition. He's like, I like spring game because of tradition. I'm like, the problem is they've thrown tradition out the window. And with all of the changes that have been made, tradition has been just completely thrown out the window. The spring game wouldn't even be a big loss considering some of the other things that we've lost with all the changes.
Yeah, I know, but it's just another part of college football that's just going away that matters. And it may not.
I agree.
It doesn't matter to me.
It's sad that it doesn't matter as much when it should be a big deal. But that's what's been unfortunate with all the changes.
Right. Now, was there anything that stood out in the first? I mean, these are spring practices, scrimmage, how much are you going to learn? But is there anything of any substance to take away from it? Or is it just all, it's a spring practice, who cares?
Kind of a little bit of both. I mean, nothing super significant, but I mean, I think that a lot of people still are pretty high on Keelan Russell, but I mean, they're kind of keeping it close knit, but like you said, I mean, it's just so hard because it's so early, and they're not going to give away a lot of info.
Yeah. Bib Beam was saying as the older fans die off, newer fans will embrace all of the changes.
Oh, that's just the way it is with life, man. I mean, the thing is that, I'm young, but I don't like a lot of the changes. It's just the way that it is. But typically, the vast majority of younger people will embrace it. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, that's like why modern music sells well, even though it sucks, because younger people listen to it. I hate it, but I mean, I'm not in the majority. But I don't know. It's just like, for me, I think that, it's a shame that in some instances, like, young people do typically just gravitate automatically to what is relevant and popular during their, generation, when some of it's no good. I mean, some change is good, and I mean, it should be embraced, but sometimes it's not. But sometimes it gets embraced regardless of whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you going to say, Darrell?
I was just going to completely agree with Jeffrey and his point there. And I think maybe I think it's too much change too quickly, and I think that can hurt it as well. You've got to keep something to keep the traditionalist engaged. And I feel like if you take everything away from the traditionalist, then I feel like there's a chance they may leave, because
almost everything has been taken away. Almost.
Right. The only thing that's there is really the team, the logo, and their tradition, just from, well, my dad watched Bama, so I'm watching Bama. But, outside of that, I mean, all of it's kind of going away, which is pretty sad. Which is why I'm so, we don't have to ruin when things are good to keep going. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
And like the tournament in March, since it is March, I guess I need to talk about the tournament briefly. Why do we need to expand it? It's great. Nobody's really complaining. There's not a grassroots effort to expand it, but people want to expand it because it might be better. Well, it might be worse,
It's not going to be better, man. I mean, the team, like I don't understand why media people keep pushing for it. It's all about money. Like
Right.
adding, like, oh my gosh, Indiana missed the tournament. They should have gotten in. West Virginia should have gotten in. Let's expand to 76. I mean, all you're going to do then is the same thing. You expand to 76, and then you're going to be arguing for those teams. None of those teams should have gotten in. West Virginia, yes, they should have got in. Indiana had a good argument. But is it the end of the world that they didn't make it? No, it's not.
Right.
I mean, nobody's like pitchforks and all that except West Virginia fans and some Indiana fans. Some Indiana fans didn't want to see him anymore, but you know what I mean? Like it's not like they weren't going to win at all.
Correct.
So it's just pointless and irrelevant to complain about expansion. Like college football, you could kind of, I guess, sell me on the expand from 4, but it shouldn't have been 12. Maybe 6 or 8, whatever.
What percentage, Jeffrey, of people do you think complaining about expansion would complain regardless of the number we go to?
It's a good question. What do you think, Jackson?
Probably about 20%, I'd say.
Sounds about right.
Because I think there's a lot of people just complaining for the sake of complaining when it comes to expansion. Because, you know, one of the things I heard about the expansion was, well, we're going to expand it to 12, and then that's it. And now people's like, well, we got to expand it to 14. We got to expand it to 16. And that's why I'm calling it
anymore. I don't know why these people want to expand.
Stop with the expanding.
So
that's
dumb.
why I'm saying we're going to expand to 32 eventually. Because
if they expand to 32, man, and that college football is completely a joke.
I think if we expand to 16, you've got Iowa 8-4 making the playoffs. I mean, isn't that kind of a joke? I mean, Iowa can't win the national championship.
I don't think they let 8-4 Iowa in a 16-team playoff, but they definitely would in a 24 or 32. I think at 16 you would still mostly have 9-3 teams, but we shouldn't be letting 9-3 teams in either.
Well, they're going to get in if we expand to 14 or 16. And we just don't have mathematically enough 10-2 teams to make it in the field.
Yeah.
It's just a math problem. But, you know, I've got to also congratulate you two gentlemen on your massive W tonight in the Sweet 16. You guys couldn't miss. I mean, how fun was it just to know every three-pointer was going in?
It was incredible, Daryl. Like, we were 25 of 51 from 3. At NCAA tournament record by 4 shots. The last highest was 21 threes in a game in the tournament by Loyola Marymount. It was just incredible. I mean, if we could sustain that for the rest of the tournament, yeah, we're going to win it all. But I think water's going to meet its level. Unfortunately, our defense still gave up 88, so I'm still concerned about that. But, man, what a performance.
And our next opponent will be Duke in the Elite Eight Saturday. We don't know if it's going to be the first Saturday game or if it's going to be the second Saturday game. But
Duke is moving on, 100-93. Caleb Love gave it his best shot, though. He had a good game.
And Texas Tech is making a comeback. They were on a 16-3 run, and I'm getting this from Barstool Sports, and
it's tied right now.
Yeah, and our guy Matt Zemek at the Voice College Football Trojans Wire, amazing genius, by the way. Matt Zemek is a genius, one of the smartest guys to ever hang out with. Amazing Southwest Conference basketball at San Francisco. Could not agree more. And he also says the last time a Texas team came back like this in San Francisco was 1972. And the quarterback was Roger Staubach, and he tats Hoya, Texas. Oh, man.
I will say that this game has been pretty good, man. Like, I'm watching it right now. Arkansas was up big, and Texas Tech's come roaring back. It's at the end, though. There's like 5 seconds left.
It's headed to overtime.
He misses. Yep. All right, I'm a little behind y'all. Overtime. There we go. So Texas Tech came storming back. Arkansas missed some free throws. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, this is still showing how dominant the Southeastern Conference is. You know, we got 2 Elite Eight teams today. Arkansas, a 10 seed. What is Arkansas? The 11th or 12th best
10th.
SEC?
10th.
Yeah, they're a double digit seed. 10's a double digit.
If like personally, I don't care who wins between Texas Tech and Arkansas. I just want the winner to beat Florida. I don't want anything to do with Florida.
Florida's got a legit team. They could easily win it all. I mean, that SEC run where they just dominated Auburn and Tennessee, that was a large result for them. So I think Florida's a very, very dangerous team, but their path is extraordinarily hard that they've had to go on with UConn, and I mean they destroyed Maryland today, but Jeffrey, have you heard the argument that the SEC got gifted spots in the tournament? So the SEC naturally was going to have more teams make it this far in the tournament. Have you heard of that argument?
I mean, it's kind of dumb. I would say, they had the most teams in the tournament, so it gave them the best chance to get more teams to go far. But the reason they had the best chance for more teams to go far was because they had a lot of good teams.
I would agree with that, too. Another issue is the SEC had to win those games in order to make it this far.
Yeah, 100%. So, that's kind of a dumb statement.
I know, but enough people say it, so everybody.
I would have left Texas out, honestly. That's the only one I wouldn't have let in.
Texas sucked.
I would not have let Texas in.
Oh man, it's like I was dead.
But
the
other
buzzer
than
beer
that, I
with-
mean, the rest of them, I mean, sure.
I was dead the buzzer beer with Will the other day, on yesterday, and I've made a claim, and I'm gonna stand by this one. I don't think Sean Miller's ever gonna get Texas to a Final Four. He couldn't do it with Xavier. He couldn't do it at Xavier. He couldn't do it with Arizona. He's never gonna do it with Texas. And if Texas thinks they will, well, they're not. They're gonna have great 1 seeds, great 2 seeds, but that's it. They're gonna have great seasons in the regular season, but not enough to go to a Final Four. What was it you said, Darrell?
I completely agree with you. But I still think he's an upgrade over Rodney Terry.
Oh, he's way better than Rodney Terry.
It's a low bar. Kind of like how Darian DeVries is better than Woodson. Do you think DeVries is better or Miller? Sean Miller?
They're about. I mean,
Even.
I would take Sean Miller over DeVries, but.
Do you think IU made a bad hire? I want your thoughts on that.
They didn't make a great hire, but they didn't.
Right, it's just okay. It was a mid hire, to borrow a term phrase. Yeah, it was mid. It was, it was like, okay, it wasn't profound or anything like, oh my gosh, Indiana's back or anything. It was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I think Xavier massively was the biggest winner of the coaching carousel, upgrading from Sean Miller to Richard Pitino.
Oh man, like the Rip Pitino battles we're gonna get, and I saw where you talked about this on Ets the other day, Darrell. You're excited about it, like that's gonna happen. We're gonna be seeing at Xavier St. John's go against one another either twice a year or at least once a year. It's gonna be father-son duo going against one another. Well, father-son duel. My bad.
Yeah, I think. I think it's great for the sporting time you get storylines like this. And I think Rick Pitino is one of the greatest coaches of all time. And I think Richard has an unbelievable start to the season. Or his career. I mean, New Mexico was they weren't this good in the Mountain West, but they won the regular season Mountain West. They won against, Shaka, chokes every game smart in the tournament.
Yeah.
So, he had a good season at New Mexico. So I'm really high on Richard Pitino and what he's capable of going forward.
Oh man, Shaka Smart's gonna have nightmares when Marquette goes against that Xavier. It's like, no.
Well, I think Marquette would have been an upgrade over or Shaka Smart would have been an upgrade over what Indiana's had over the last 5-10 years, but I don't think he's any good.
Yeah.
Like Shaka Smart to me is one of the most overrated coaches of all time. He had one run like 12 years ago now, and everybody acts like he's such an amazing coach because of it. I just don't get it.
He's not. He's just he's decent. He's decent.
He's won 5 tournament games in 10 years. I mean, he should be winning way more than that at the schools he's been to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. at
But
all.
yeah, Darrell, what else is on your mind tonight, man?
What else is on my mind is I'm looking forward to when's Alabama's spring game? And
April
is it on
12th,
TV?
not on television.
See, that's something else that bothers me. We got nothing on TV other than a few NBA games. Why not just put a spring game or two from these bigger brands, and then it gives people something to watch? Instead, you got to go through subscriptions and you got to open up a streaming service in order
They
to
used
get
to
it.
put some of them on TV. I remember like one year Ohio State was on like Fox.
Right, I know they had Ohio State and Michigan, but I'm just talking about ESPN. Load it up, have Georgia, Alabama. You know, the SEC. If you have Florida football on ESPN2 or even ESPNU, it'll draw a better number than what else could they possibly be showing in April?
Like
That's
softball,
right. Which one do you think is going to be
baseball,
drawing getting more viewership?
the spring game.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why I get irritated with some of these other sports. Like you remember Angel Reese saying that, oh, we need to make more. It's like you can't make more when you're not making money as a league. Like the NBA is still operating at a loss, so it's like you're not gonna make what LeBron makes. Angel Reese, like these soft players, like they get NIL, or baseball players, they get NIL, but they're not going to be getting NIL like football and basketball players do because they don't bring in the money.
I agree. Isn't LeBron James the guy that's going to lose a fight to Stephen A. Smith? Isn't he that guy?
Oh man, I was laughing my butt off when Stephen A was like venting to like his buddy Hannity on Fox News, where it was like the thing that made me cringe was like Hannity saying, LeBron was getting in your grip. It's like, no, you're an old dude using that word grip. Oh, that's cringe. I died from cringe.
You've seen that commercial. I think I might have mentioned it before. You've seen that commercial, right, with the dude that's talking to his daughters and he's doing the slang, right? The Gen Z slang. Man, that commercial hurts. Like usually when you see like girls cringing, it's like, yeah, you're cringing over nothing. But in this instance, I was cringing. I'm like, you got the 50-year-old guy going like, cooking. I'm cooking in the kitchen, bruh. Like, no. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I barely even use Gen Z slang, and I'm a Gen Z. And you got this old dude. Like, I know it was the joke, but the commercial, but it was actively hurting my ears.
Have you heard of the Gen?
You got me thinking about SpongeBob, where it's like Mr. Krabs trying to use the slang that Pearl's using. They're like,
yeah. It was in Midlife Crustacean, right? Yeah, coral. Yeah, he's like, it's so coral. What about corral?
Like corral. That sounds so creepy from a middle.
You remember that, right, man? And right after he took the pill, I hate the pill.
I hate the pill.
Okay, I'm sorry. I get off track with SpongeBob, man. I can't help it.
Hey, it's better than him selling SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents.
Yeah.
How dumb are you to sell your best employee's soul?
Like long term, that is not going to help the restaurant at all.
Moron. And for 62 cents.
Not even in the short term, but definitely not in the long term.
Darrell's sitting there going, what the heck did I walk into?
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking. I remember that episode, and it's like Mr. Krabs would never sell me out. He said, "Well, I got 62 cents. Oh, sold."
Yeah, and then the Dutch lady gives him back, and Mr. Krabs like, "Did you hear what I said?" And he's like, "No, I couldn't hear myself think with this one around." And he's just babbling about, "Yeah, I was going jellyfish with Patrick," and I was like, "Okay, like I can't take this."
Like you knew Mr. Krabs screwed up when Squidward called him out.
Yeah,
it's like boom.
The older, it's weird how like your opinion of characters changes as you get older.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to really like SpongeBob, but now it's just like I'm so sympathetic to Squidward.
Everyone does that. When you get older, you like Squidward. As a kid, you like SpongeBob and Patrick, and then you get older, you like Squidward. I mean, and especially early season Squidward, because he wasn't like at the point of like he doesn't want to live anymore. Like in the early season, he was almost like Daria.
Yeah.
In a way. Like
Who?
just Daria from MTV.
Okay. Sorry,
You know,
I didn't
where he literally like it's just this deadpan delivery. It's not that like he doesn't care about stuff, but like he just gives off the impression that he don't care. But then he have moments like pizza delivery where he does actually care about SpongeBob a little bit, and it was just cool, you know. But like the later seasons don't treat him as well. But Squidward is, as an adult, the best character in the show by far, and then it's probably Plankton.
Yep. Oh man.
You remember going back to that 62 Cents episode though. You remember in that episode, Jackson, when Mr. Krabs he brings the TV out of the guy's eyes back into the TV.
Yeah.
like he using the remote, like he somehow rewires it where the dude don't even remember what he watched.
Oh yeah.
How is that possible?
The thing that gave it away for me was like the way he was about to rip somebody's arm off over a penny. Like,
yeah, that's the most penny pinching I've ever seen.
That was like what David
Jones' locker forever.
That was like something David Tepper would do.
Yeah. Yeah, remember when he said he was Harold Flower?
Oh God.
When he was in the hospital bed, he's like, I'm Harold Flower.
No, you're not.
It's like because he was sitting next to a flower pot, man. Like, what the? Yeah, he's trying to pull a fast one. Oh, that's Harold Flower's room. Harold Flower. Oh my God, I could quote that whole show, man. I was like, I love that. I love that show so much, dude.
Well, we got a couple more things we have to do, then we'll get on out. But Darrell, before we gotta go, what you got going on in your world this week?
Well, I'll be posting on X about the college basketball results. I'll either be really happy or really sad tomorrow because we're going to lose to Tennessee. And,
no, you're not.
losing to,
you're going to
hopefully we don't.
I picked Tennessee to win by 1.
I picked Kentucky.
I picked Tennessee to win by 1.
We don't need to hear. We don't need to hear that blasphemy, Jeffrey. Okay.
Well, I had to go with my bracket when I did my bracket with Austin last week. I picked Tennessee in that game, so I mean I kind of had to keep it because I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I mean I don't know, it's close. I mean honestly I don't trust Barnes, but I mean it is Pope's first year. We'll see. It's gonna be a good game. I could definitely see Kentucky winning, but
yeah. So I'll be either celebrating all just retweeting or quote tweeting, I guess, and replying trash talking Tennessee fans because they actually think they can beat us, which is kind of weird.
That's not hard to do, Darrell. That would be the easiest thing for you to do in the world if you win.
Well, I know. I mean, Tennessee, they have nothing in basketball to ride. They act like they're so much better than they are, which is just true of every sport. But it's weird in basketball, in a sport where they've made 2 Elite Eights in their history.
Alabama's better than them now.
Yeah, you've made a Final Four. Tennessee still has not made a Final Four.
Purdue is better. Purdue's better than them. Alabama's better than them. Like teams that are not even basketball oriented at all.
Almost
Purdue is, but like Purdue still like their history has been very lackluster for the most part. Until we
can talk about teams like George Mason and VCU and those type of teams.
Loyola Chicago.
Right. So it's so
you gotta love Tennessee fans. You gotta love them.
Yeah, as I always say, even the SEC fans find them strange. That's just how we all band together. But they're just that one person in the corner. Everybody just got to keep an eye on just in case. That's the Tennessee man.
Well, Darrell, I'll tell you this.
Oh, let's go. Sorry, Arkansas just lost, so I'm happy. Calipari is a loser. Let's go.
Calipari is done. Let's go.
There we go.
Yes, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't usually do that with any coaches, man, but Cal, it gets on my nerves, man. They show him every 2 seconds, and then they show his wife and daughter every 2 seconds, and it's like, all right, we don't need to see this. What a ride for Cal, though. Give him his flowers. He made the Sweet 16 again, but it's over, man. Yeah, it
No,
showed
you don't
again.
give him his flowers. This is why I can tell you got rid of John Calipari. He's a choke artist. He chokes.
Arkansas was up like 12 to real with like
They were up
5 to go.
16.
Yeah. But
They should have won.
Well, I'm going to be celebrating all night about this result. Thanks for having me on, Jackson. I can't wait to see you all next week when Alabama plays some spring scrimmage or something, and we got like 5 players that are going to make the World Cup and the MVP of the NBA Finals. So I'll see you then.
Oh, we'll see you there. Goodbye.
Have a great night, Darrell.
Oh, man.
Ended out on a happy result with Calipari going down.
There we go. And we got some stuff we want to tell you about, and we were going to make sure to tell Darrell that, there's going to be a few SEC teams that are going to be having some shows covered soon on The Voice of College Football. Tune in. But in the meantime, we got The Voice of College Football @/Twitter account where you can get top-notch debate, discussion, and analysis with no off-season. It's all right there on The Voice of College Football. You got TJ and friends on the Michigan Call-In Show. You got us breaking the fourth wall inside 16th, inside the 64th wall. You got Mr. Burns getting fired by Kent State. Well, being placed on administrative leave, but I feel like he's going to get fired eventually. Then there's Garrison and Ryan on the Ohio State Call-In Show. And much more. Stephen M. Smith joining Mark Rogers discussing the spring football update on Alabama's Voice of College Football. And of course, there's the Voice of College Football Instagram account. Here we go. Upcoming news. Here we go. You got Patrick Privity, Gabriel Pickup, and friends creating some magic behind the scenes on the Instagram. Here we go. And you got the day we met, Johnny Football. Oh, don't even remind me about that game. Go. You got Arch Manning doing in 2025. How's he going to do? Is he going to win the Heisman? Is he going to be a top 5 QB? Is he really good? Maybe next year, you decide. Come on in. Come on in. Come on into the Voice College Football Instagram. Let's get to 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers. Let's get it there. And you got the Godfather, the SEC, giving the number 1 finger, giving out a good night, everybody, and the peace finger. We appreciate you tuning in, Godfather, good buddy. We appreciate you, man. Well, and Jeffrey, I think it's that time we tell everybody what we got going on. So we're going to let you go first, man. What you got going on in your world this week, man?
Sounds great, Jackson. Appreciate that. Definitely on my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports. I've been doing predictions for March Madness. I had a live stream with Austin around a week and a half ago talking about the round of 64, and we did our Final Four picks, which actually me and Austin's picks have not been too bad. I think three out of my 4 Final Four teams are still alive, and I think a couple of Austin's is as well. And we might be doing a stream soon on like the Final Four national championship games, like revisit our picks, stuff like that. We might be doing that next week if we can get that together. But yeah, definitely I've been doing my picks for the Sweet 16. Every game so far I've gotten right because I picked Bama, Florida. Actually, I got all 4 right tonight. I picked Bama, Florida, Duke, and Texas Tech.
There you go.
So, and I got my picks already on my channel for tomorrow's games, and I will be doing the exact same thing for the Elite Eight. So trying to get the content going back over on my channel. So definitely if you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, Only Talk Sports, definitely would appreciate it if you do go give me a sub. Also, my X account at Only Talk Sports, where I post, my thoughts and opinions on what's going on around all of sports. Definitely a lot more vocal over there about how I feel about certain things, because that's just kind of the way X is. That's the way it's kind of designed to be. So definitely give me a follow over there. Definitely would appreciate it. And you can find me here every Monday night, or at least I try to. Sometimes maybe I might not be able to make it, but I should be back for this upcoming Monday show with Jackson and Johnny for the Crimson Tide show. Definitely excited about that. And also every Thursday night here on Alabama Crimson Tide Live Call-In Show, where we take your calls and talk a lot of stuff from Alabama to SpongeBob and everything in between. So, and always the Stump, Jack and Jeffrey segments of a blast as well with your IT guys. So can't beat that as well. So definitely appreciate everybody for being here tonight.
Always fun as always, man. Only problem is like sometimes we get off before past bedtime, or sometimes we're able to get to bed on time, but it's like sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. That's the only part.
A little late tonight, but we had fun. So,
but at least we're getting you to bed before 1 a.m. your time.
Technically, it's
technically. I mean, nothing wrong with it technically.
Yeah.
Oh man. But of course, I did a Jacksonian episode with our friend at Ole Miss at the Voice of College Football, Ruby Dreyer, as we went over how she got into sports media, her love for Ole Miss athletics, and much, much more, because she not only does some magic on Ole Miss at the Voice of College Football, but she is the production coordinator at College Game Day. She's the one and only Ruby Dreyer Finley, as we go over enormous amount of stuff. We even went over our raw reaction to Troy Taylor getting fired by Stanford for being mean to the two female staffers. Let me tell you something. It was a fun episode. So much fun. And I know you'll have fun as well. And you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979 on YouTube, where I have my show, The Jacksonian, 99 subs away from the magic number 500. And for more updates on what's going on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, on what Coach Birch, Jeffrey, and I are planning for Alabama with the Voice of College Football, and who I'm having on for the Jacksonian, check me out on JacksonVOCFB, on X/Twitter, and on Instagram and Threads at JacksonJohnson543908. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we will wish you all a good night, sleep well, stay safe. Happy Friday night, technically. And roll
Tide!